Do you have
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our regularly scheduled commission meeting, July 10th, 2024. The time is now 7:14. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Commissioner Bass, Vice Mayor Irvin. Here. Commissioner Kelly,
Present.
Commissioner Williams. Here. Mayor Taylor.
Here. All right, as we get ready to stand for our invocation, led by Commissioner Williams, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you for another day. We are here. Lord, we ask that you continue to wrap the city of Opa-locka with your covering, with God's favor. We thank everyone, the residents, the employees, everyone that's here to make the city work and continue to be the beacon of light that we are. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, Madam Clerk, do we have any awards, proclamations, or acknowledgements at this moment?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, we have a special presentation to the Opa-locka Educational Scholarship Awardees, and that will be conducted by Ms. Walker.
Ms. Walker? All right. The city of Opa-locka is so excited that this year we were able to, normally we award 5 students with $1,000 each for scholarships, 5 seniors that graduate that live in the city of Opa-locka. But this year we only had 3 that applied. So what the commission did was took the remaining balance and divided it up between the 3. So increased that $1,000 to $1,650 each person. So we take that time now to celebrate the accomplishments of our young people and where they're going in life and the colleges and where they're going to take up. So we have 3. The first one is, what happened? Got it. Cameron Kelly. We're gonna come down. Just give me a moment. Jermaine Harrell.
Harold.
I'm sorry, Harold. Sorry. Duran. And last, Kristen Duran. So hopefully you all are here so that we can present you with these checks. And
Is everybody here?
I don't know. Come down. And he said he's going to the University of Miami, majoring in counseling. Opa-locka needs a counseling. Counseling is a project. Person was not able to make it, but we have her father. Mr. Flores is on. Mr. Flores from School of Advanced Studies and where she. Florida State. She's currently there now. So we're gonna make sure, Daddy, you make sure this money get to her, right? Studying law. After that, you can have Delay Harold. Okay, so he graduated from Mater Academy and now went to Heidelberg University.
Thank you.
So let's give it up again for our young people and the graduates, Opa-locka class of 2024. All right, we're going into our approval of our consent agenda. Do we have any deferrals, deletions or pulls at this moment?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Manager?
yes, we'll need to defer again all of the ARPA items, which would be from the consent agenda, item 1, item 3, item 4, item 5, item 6, item 8, and item 9.
Okay, you said 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, and 9?
That's correct, sir.
All right, any other deferrals, deletions, or pulls at this moment? All right, hearing none. Commissioner Kelly?
Thank you. I want to pull number 7.
Okay. All right, so just for clarity, just want to make sure, Mr. Manager, you're deferring 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, and 9. And Commissioner Kelly, you're pulling item number 7.
That's correct, sir.
All right, can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Move it.
Moved by Commissioner Williams, second
Second.
by Vice Mayor. Can we vote on the consent agenda, Madam Clerk?
Vice Mayor Irvin,
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly,
Yes.
Commissioner Williams.
Yes.
Commissioner Taylor,
Yes.
motion passes 4-0.
I know you're new. I know you're nervous. It's Mayor Ted. I know you're nervous.
Yeah.
Your first one.
And Commissioner Bass isn't here, so
Yeah.
I'm saying her.
All right, we're going to the approval of tonight's agenda. Can I get a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
Move it.
Moved by Vice Mayor,
Second.
second by Commissioner Williams. Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Kelly,
Yes.
Commissioner Williams.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Irvin,
Yes.
Mayor Taylor,
Yes.
motion passes 4-0.
All right, we're going into the approval of minutes. The commission meeting, workshop meeting minutes, June 20th, 2024. Can I get a motion? Moved by Commissioner Kelly,
Second.
second by Vice Mayor Irvin. Can I get a roll call, Madam?
Commissioner Williams.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Irvin,
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly,
Yes.
Mayor Taylor,
Yes.
motion passes 4-0.
All right, do we have any District 1, District 2, or state reports? No, we don't. All right, so we're going down to our public presentations. We have Ms. Miranda Brito, Community Outreach Specialist of FDOT. You have the floor. Thank you.
Good evening. Okay, great. Good evening. So good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for the opportunity to present to you today. My name is Miranda Brito. I am the Community Outreach Specialist on the FDOT State Road 916, Northwest 135th Street, Northwest 136th Street, from west of 30th Avenue to east of Northwest 27th Avenue roadway project. We are here today to present to you an update on this project during its construction phase. Okay, so this project plays a crucial role in shaping the direction of the FDOT compass. The department focuses on key areas. Oh, next slide. I'm sorry. The department focuses on key areas to ensure that the state's infrastructure serves residents and visitors now and in the future, with an emphasis on embracing the communities we serve. Key areas include safety, resiliency, workforce development, technology, supply chain, and communities. I will now go ahead and introduce the project team. We have FDOT Northgate Resident Engineer Ivan Hay, FDOT Northgate Assistant Resident Engineer John Garcia. Here with us today, we have FDOT Project Manager Igor Caicedo. I will be serving as a Community Outreach Specialist, and the contractor on this project is Bacallao Construction and Engineering Development. Okay, now I'll hand it over to the project manager to go over the project details with you.
Good evening. The next slide that you see on your screen is basically a overhead map of where the project currently is happening. It's basically at the intersection of Northwest 27th Avenue and Northwest 135th Street and Opa-locka Boulevard. And you'll see in a future slide exactly what it is that we're going to be doing. But those are the project limits, 27th Avenue to 30th Avenue along State Road 916 and Opa-locka Boulevard. Okay, next slide, please. So the project scope will be upgrading pedestrian crosswalks, signage and signals, and repaving and restriping the road within the limits that you saw on the map. Shifting the westbound Opa-locka Boulevard entrance further west, reconstructing sidewalks and pedestrian ramps, and replacing the joints at the Northwest 27th Avenue Bridge over the Opa-locka Canal. We'll be improving drainage along the project limits, adding an exclusive left turn lane at the intersection of State Road 916 and 27th Avenue. We'll be installing a vehicle detection video equipment for reliable monitoring and of the road and pavement traffic detectors to keep control and monitor traffic. And as typical with many or most DOT projects, these are local contractors that will be performing this particular road, the particular work. Next slide, please. So the project started on June 17th. It's anticipated duration will be 10 months. So we should be done by the spring of next year. And the estimated cost is 3.3 million. Next slide. So this is where the primary work, we noted that there will be some work at 30th Avenue, but most of the work will be here at 27th Avenue and Opa-locka Boulevard. And this is what that particular intersection looks like right now. And if you're familiar with this area, which most everybody here is, we have very limited pedestrian crossings at this particular intersection. So if we could see the next slide, you'll see what the project intends to improve. Next slide, please. So you'll see that once the project is finished, you will be able to cross on 3 legs of that intersection. And that what we call that northwest street that feeds into Opa-locka Boulevard will be shifted. The entrance to that will be shifted further to the west, about 100 feet, to improve safety at that particular intersection, allowing for the pedestrian crosswalks and helping with the traffic there, making the intersection a lot safer for pedestrians. If you could go back real quick, this is not the only, thank you, appreciate it. And this is not the only location we'll be working, but this is where the major work will happen. And that leg of Opa-locka Boulevard, that's going to be converted into a green area. Okay, next slide, please. So the hours where we will be working on this corridor will be from 9 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. weekdays and weekends, 8:30 p.m. to 6:30 a.m. weekdays and weekends. And we have established some detours whenever it's necessary. Next slide, please. Whenever we're working on this particular work zone, you'll see that the southeastbound traffic will be redirected through Superior Street and on 27th Avenue. But the local businesses there at Opa-locka Boulevard, that segment will remain open for local businesses and local traffic. So it's not going to be closed. Okay. Next slide. And then when in a different phase, when we're working on the northwestbound portion, traffic will be directed through Sinbad and through Opa-locka Boulevard counterclockwise. Next slide. And there will be a brief 2-week phase. Incidentally, by the way, the previous phases will begin approximately in August, and the contractor is expecting to last about 2 months. So there will be a brief phase of 2-week period where we will be replacing the joints over the 27th Avenue Bridge over the Opa-locka Canal. And those will be nighttime closures, specifically limited to nighttime hours. And whenever we do have to replace, get to that work, which we will be towards the end of the year, We'll be redirecting traffic to Northwest 22nd Avenue, and again through Sinbad. Okay. And Miranda.
Thank you, Igor. Okay, so as far as outreach efforts, there was public involvement done during the design phase of this project. We had a public meeting and also coordination with the city of Opa-locka. During this phase, during construction, it includes a dedicated community outreach specialist, which is myself. It includes continuous communication with stakeholders, which includes door-to-door outreach, project update e-blast, and social media, with detailed detour instructions and maps, with construction activities updates, and also one-on-one meetings with stakeholders as needed. You can also visit southflroads.com, where you can find the project webpage with all the project information, with lane closure and detour information, and that webpage is updated on a weekly basis for everyone to visit and make sure everybody's aware. Also, we have continuous coordination with the Golden Glaze Interchange project team, just to make sure our MOTs are not in conflict. Okay, and with that, next slide, sorry. So with that, we finalize our presentation today. On the screen, you have our contact information in case you have any questions or concerns regarding this project. You can definitely reach out to me, the community outreach specialist, and we're now available to take any questions or comments you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Miranda. Do we have any questions for Ms. Miranda from the FDOT team?
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner Kelly?
thank you for the presentation. I really have a question, not so much on the design or whatever, because I know you've had workshops, but there's the open field area when you're coming around from Opa-locka Boulevard to come around onto 135th. Is that state owned? Because it's I see now it looks like they're putting trees or something, but it's hardly ever maintained. Is that state owned? Because if it is, it seems to get left out of maintenance or just looking good a lot of times. So I want to know, can that be a part of just the improvements really, as you're doing the other aesthetics to the area?
Yes, sir. We did not include all the details of the project scope, but there is landscaping for this job, minor landscaping, but yes, we'll be addressing those issues. And if for more specifics, we can reach out and provide.
Or you
our
can
plans.
provide it to the manager and he'll get it to us,
Got it.
because I'd like to make sure that doesn't get lost either in the translation.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, the only question that I have, Ms. Miranda, and I turn it over to my other colleagues, the red, that's sidewalks, correct, on both sides, both the east and west side?
Let
And
me
you,
check.
were you also doing seems like you're doing a walkway where that passive park is gonna be?
Where we have the detours?
No,
That-
I'm sorry, this page,
Ain't number.
where you extended the,
Oh, okay. It is? Here you have it.
Yes, that is sidewalk.
okay,
So in order to complete the crosswalks across the intersection, we obviously have to provide sidewalks. So yes, there will be sidewalk improvements across the monument or around the monument,
okay,
the welcome monument.
got it,
That would allow pedestrians to go from one side to the other
to the other,
safely.
okay. All right, I'm
What-
good. Any other questions?
Yeah, real quick before you leave. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Commissioner Wood, sorry.
On the same page, this part right here, looks like a little teardrop type thing. That's the green space that you spoke of, or
Yeah.
was there, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So that's the green, is there another one? Because I thought you said it was further down Opa-locka Boulevard. This is the only green space that will be there.
This is a new green space. There is
Correct.
already a limited green space,
Yes.
but the roadway, what will be eventually eliminated as a roadway, will be converted into a green space.
Okay, okay. And then you're working with the manager's office to what that will look like in terms of trees or plants or what, we don't know yet.
We can definitely share the plans, examine
Okay.
them in detail, and if there needs
Okay.
to be
That'd be great.
additional details, we can.
Okay, thank you so
Right.
much.
And I'm gonna further ask, piggyback on what Commissioner Kelly said, when you have the detailed project of its entirety, can you forward that to the manager so that he can forward to the commission as well, please? All right,
Sure.
thank you. All
Okay, thank
right,
you.
any other questions for Ms. Miranda at this time on the FDOT project? All right, hearing none, thank you.
Thank you.
No problem, thank you again. All right, we're getting ready to go into our citizens forum. Madam Clerk, can you please state how to participate in citizens forum?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. City of Opa-locka Commission meetings are held in person at the Opa-locka Government Center, City Commission Chambers, 780 Fisherman Street, third floor, Opa-locka, Florida. Members of the public wishing to address the commission may do so in person or virtually. Those persons wishing to participate virtually should register prior to the scheduled meeting time on the city's website at www.opalockafl.gov. When speaking before the commission, please make sure to give your full name and address for the record. There is a 3-minute time limit for public comments. Please adhere to the decorum policy, which is a part of the commission meeting agenda. City commission meetings are aired through live stream at www.youtube.com/user/City of Opa-locka. And at this moment, Mr. Mayor, we do have one virtual public comment for Citizens Forum, Ms. Altisha Irvin.
All right. Ms. Irvin, you have the floor, and then we'll open up citizens forum for the ones in the chamber. Citizens forum.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Altisha Irvin. I am 39 years old, currently live in Washington, D.C., but was raised in Opa-locka across the street. So if any of you have ever interacted with me, then you have heard me say that
We need, Ms. Irvin, we need an address.
670 Dunette Avenue, Opa-locka, Florida, across the street,
Got
D.C., 7705 Presidential Parkway, Marlboro, Maryland, 20774.
Go ahead.
Okay, I'll start over. Okay. So hi, my name is Altisha Irvin, and I am 39 years old and currently work in Washington, D.C. If any of you have ever interacted with me, then you have heard me say that the parks raised me. I started going to summer camp as soon as I was old enough. I mean, back when Miss Clinton had that white dog, and we used to go to Cloverleaf every Tuesday and Olita every Friday, when Miss Jan coached softball and Coach Rick stayed driving that van. I remember going to school, and as soon as I did my homework, I had a snack because I was gonna always have a snack, and I was going across the street to hang out at the park. Back then, Opa-locka wasn't the safest, but the park was a safe space where all of us kids could hang out and do after-school activities together. My mom wasn't letting me go to nobody's house, and only a few kids could really honestly come to ours. When I got old enough to go to summer camp, when I got too old to go to summer camp, I was heartbroken. And I remember Zanya telling me, girl, you too old. So I was like, fine, I'll volunteer. And I did that for 3 years until I joined the band. After volunteering for 3 summers, I had so many volunteer hours that I received a lot of scholarships and ended up being a Silver Knight nominee. Who in their right mind want to volunteer in the hot sun? But to me, it wasn't work. It was like being around my home away from home. So much so that when I was in about 7th grade, I remember I was walking home from getting my hair done off Opa-locka Boulevard, and some guys approached me. I was like 11 or 12, I think, so I wasn't interested in them. But one of the guys got upset, ended up pulling a gun and putting it to my back and proceeded to rob me. My mom was coming across the street, and honey, she got in that car and put them on a chase. However, she left me stranded with no phone and nobody called. So I called the only number I knew how to call, and that was 305-953-2841. That's your Bundy Park number. I called crying, and I remember calling Zanya and asked her if she could pick me up because I was real scared. Without hesitation, she said she was on her way. She picked me up and kept me till my parents came. And I know she would do that for any kid because that's what Parks and Recreation staff would do, and they would do that for me and any other kid. So they were always a sense of safety and protection. And for as long as I live, I would never forget that moment. They made me feel like I belong. And I remember back in the day when I was chunky, my school cheerleading team told me that I was too big to cheer for them. And that really hurt me. But then I was able to go to the park and cheer for them where they accepted me with open arms. The commitment that the City of Opa-locka Parks and Rec Department showed me has inspired my life work. And now I work with kids trying to create a positive school culture to create a sense of belonging for kids in underserved areas that was like mine. I know all companies have their own issues that we may not understand, but there has to be a better way. We have to create processes that are supportive of city staff instead of having a culture that is rooted in fear of being terminated, so that the city staff can continue to inspire little minority boys and girls and give them hope for their future. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so thank you, Ms. Irvin. So we're gonna ask that we not clap or cheer in the chambers, please. All right, so citizens forum is open for those that are actually in the chamber.
Hey, my name is Antoine Davis, 2140 York Street. I give my time to Brian Dennis.
My name is Antonio Pearson, 2140 York Street. I give my 3 minutes to Brian Dennis.
My name is Tiara Miller, 2140 York Street. I give my time to Brian Dennis.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Brian Dennis, address 2140 York Street. Tonight, I don't speak as a citizen for the city of Opa-locka. I speak as the Community Relations Board Chair, the Community Relations Board Recreation and Activities Chair. There seems to be a great disconnect when we know what actually takes place with the Park and Recreation Board. For a whole year and a half since I've been the chairman of that board, we tried to get Ingram Park open. Even had a young man by the name of Tommy Johnson, most people know him in the city of Opa-locka at school, who works for Shaquille O'Neal and was coming forward to had him walk the park to redo Ingram Park. Also, if you go back and you look at our meetings from last year, from April, May, and June, we also had the Arabian Nights Festival on task, which would have went forth this year, but it was blocked. We also, as the chairman of that board, I was in contact and in touch with FAMU, Florida A&M University Marching 100, to bring them to the Arabian Nights flag parade for this year, but it was blocked by the manager. Now, as a citizen of the city of Opa-locka and chairing one of the most powerful boards in the city of Opa-locka, we know that why that park is not being done. It's the resistance to Commissioner Kelly is why that park is not being done. The manager doesn't like Commissioner Kelly. The manager doesn't too much care for myself. And the manager also know about Mr. Tommy Johnson and his relationship to Scoop, because at the same time, the manager has also been on the porch where we reside and get a lot of business done in the city. But tonight, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to stand because the park director sits on my board, and also Mr. Dakari Griffin. There are some allegations and things that are going forth, but we have a continuous process of individuals being fired from the city of Opa-locka under this manager's care without due process. Due process is an entitlement and an investigation that is done prior to a employee being laid off. Due process is being done when an employee is being suspended. But when you outright fire an employee because of personal differences, then we have a problem. We also are looking at the simple fact that the lawsuits that have been generated under this situation with the manager here as the city of Opa-locka. Now is not the time for any of us to be pointing fingers. It is what it is. We've all had disagreements in each other, and I can truly tell you, Commissioner Williams, you're in the wrong professional, because you look like for the last few meetings, you've been a detective. You look like you've been a detective. But in the movie Ray Charles, there's a special line. His mama said in the line, "Scratch a lie, find a thief."
Again,
go even-
Mr. Dennis, again, we're gonna ask that we want to respect the person.
We're gonna respect the call. So let me go even further. Don't think for 1 minute that, and my time should be about 12 minutes. Don't think for 1 minute that I do not understand, that I do not know what's trying to take place with the Parks and Recreation staff and the outsourcing of it. The city is running into a deficit, and in order to get rid of individuals, you got to fire individuals. But we'll take care of that at the next meeting. What I want to turn your attention to is the contract of the city manager. The first thing that I want to highlight in the contract is page 2. Page 2 of the manager's contract, section 8 said that the manager shall have the duties, responsibilities, and powers of said office under the City of Opa-locka Charter, Code of Ordinances, Administrative Code, and all statutes, laws, and constitutional provisions and other city ordinance, regulations, resolutions, and policies applicable to the position of manager. The manager shall carry out these in a professional and competent manner. We know that that has not been the case on several occasions. Let me go to, I want to skip over one part, and I want to go to section 13, suspension. The commission shall have the authority to suspend the manager with full pay and benefits pending investigation and final employment decision made by the commission, but only if a majority of the commission members agree, or in the alternative, after a public hearing, if a majority of the commission members vote to suspend the manager for just cause. Section 3 of the manager's contract, page 3, and we'll talk about termination and severance pay. Termination without cause and termination for cause. I'm quite sure that if this commission does its due diligence, they will find cause to release the manager. What I am asking the commission to do is follow the laws of his contract and give him due process. The same thing that was not afforded to other employees, but to give him due process. Due process in the contract under section B says that the manager can be suspended but still paid. But I think that this commission, when it finds out what is actually going on, if you reach that decision to let the manager go, you would then make history, as this manager would be the first manager in the city of Opa-locka to walk out of here without a dime. Let me make it clear and let me make it plain. There's no doubt about it that for the last year and a half that there has been a great disagreement with myself and members of the commission concerning their hiring of the manager. But you as the commission represent us, and you have the right to do what you feel like you should do. But the flip side of that is you have the right to do what you must do. Because in due process, and we know that due process was not done, there is cause for an investigation. I can't tell you what to do. I cannot tell you what to do, but I can go by what is in the contract and what is seen here. When we're talking about personal differences, this is the same manager that emailed my criminal record across the city of Opa-locka during an email blast last year. And for 34 years, it has prompted me to be what I have become now. I pastor a church in Fort Myers, even though I live in the city of Opa-locka. I'm the boot camp coordinator for Transition Incorporated, and I've helped young men and women that are in boot camp first in life sentences change their lives. Now, if I was a sitting commissioner and knowing the charter the way that I do and being taught by former Mayor John Riley and former City Attorney Patricia Ellis and being schooled, there's just cause for suspension prior to a public hearing for termination for the manager. This is the same manager that has sung the praises of the park director. If you go back and you look at those CRB meetings, you have always seen me sing the praises of the park director and her staff, regardless to what, because the park director, public works, and the police department pretty much work around the clock with all the city events that they have. So to show that they are not appreciated and to underappreciate them and to throw them aside and push them out because personal deals have been cut is a shame before God in heaven. But I will say this as I walk away, God is a just God. He sits high and looks low.
Thank you all. Thank you. We ask that you keep it down. We move. Citizens Forum is still open.
Good evening. My name is Theophilus Williams, 1391 Northwest 95th Street. Half of the time we hear what's going on in Miami-Dade County, all over the city from Miami Garden. And when you hear about 4 black men are being terminated as a county employee, I'm talking about me and my history. But as a city of Opa-locka, let me ask y'all a question. Do y'all have a guideline, a handbook, rules and regulation, and how long it's been put up to date. Because you just can't fire a person if you don't have that handbook. Do they go to orientation to make sure they follow the rules? See, because off of the time we bring privatization in here, but we don't know their history. You can bring people from private section, but don't know the policy in Opa-locka. You sound like your manager of park and recreation is disconnected and don't have a communication with the workers. And I know they tired, it's all over the county. And I would, you know, who called for them to get a break? Who calls? HRS? HRS? How many hours do they work? Are we following their records? Because private section really don't know. Let me say this to y'all. Private section is only getting rid of blacks and their benefits. And these 4 guys deserve whatever the outcome is. And if you do an investigation, let's do an investigation of the director, what their history is before you hire a person. You got to know if they qualified for it. And if they ain't qualified for it, they then should be in the position. We could pay everybody $100,000, $200,000 don't mean they know the job. They don't know the job. You should have had some park rangers up in here. That's what you call HRS in management. HRS, you know, HR, you have student. But this is what you got. You don't have park rangers to help the park and security. Who is the supervisor of these places and what y'all putting in place? We giving people money, but they're not doing their job. But they're gonna fire a black man in a minute who doing the job. If it wasn't for the workers, nobody wouldn't be getting paid. The workers make the work go, not management. But management gonna only hear what the next person say to fire. And when you fire a black person who comes in, everybody over the world come here and get our job and we the benefit of what we got. Ladies and gentlemen, as this community as I speak,
Thank you, Mr. Williams. We got
get out and vote.
Thank you, Mr. Williams.
Hello,
Hello.
Giovantia Miller, 13116 Alexandria Drive. Within the great city of Opa-locka's mission statement, there are a few lines that stood out most to me. The goals for this great city include building a sustainable community, improving our community. The operative word is community, which by definition means a group of people living in the same place with a sense of fellowship and people unified by a common space and the goals of said space. The primary service of the City of Opa-locka's Parks and Recreation Department, according to this mission statement, is to provide opportunities for enriching the lives and meeting the recreational and cultural needs of Opa-locka residents. For many years, I have personally witnessed the staff here at Opa-locka do just that. In particular, I volunteered side by side for many years with both Dakari Griffin and Zanya Ray. From the times when the program operated from Ingram Park, when there wasn't enough room for the amount of children that Kari and Zanya brought to the park, to when the city was bankrupt. And even though they were not getting paid, they still showed up every day with smiles on their faces to accommodate the community. From sitting with them for countless hours from sunup to sundown during toy and food drives for this community, not to mention football season, sacrificing valuable time for themselves and their families to strengthen this community. To Dakari and Zanya fundraising and waiving fees for at-risk and underprivileged youth every football season with little to no support from the dais at times. While the faces and names on the dais of Opa-locka are ever-changing, the Parks and Recreation Department has done a great job providing continuity to its citizens, allowing them to see familiar faces and build lifelong bonds. And many children have grown up being coached by Coach Zanya and Coach Kari. In summation, every city has a commission to monitor and oversee the checks and balances system, and everyone on the panel has an important job to do. But we must not forget that it is the faces that we see daily, who see and help the citizens face their day-to-day struggles and genuinely care. The people who are here when they aren't being paid to do so, who make up the true community in Opa-locka. No human is without error, no matter their position. But is there a doubt in my mind that both Dakari Griffin and Zanya Ray have consistently contributed to the betterment of this great city and enrichment of the lives of the community while they held their positions? The answer is unequivocally no. This city has suffered in many ways for many years, and most of its undoing was unfortunately caused from within, due to the people that are tasked with making tough decisions on behalf of the well-being of the city, making the wrong ones. I cannot say whether the poor decisions are being made due to malicious intent, hidden agendas, or simple human error, but either way, they must be rectified for the greater good of this community. Thank you all.
Thank you, Ms. Mello.
Good afternoon, everybody. 1201 Sheridan Boulevard. I'm be here and speaking on behalf of the Parks and Recreation staff. I've seen
Your name,
Sonia Ray,
please.
huh?
Your name.
Carolyn Renfro Gardner. Both of them. But anyway, I've been here in the city of Opa-locka for 67 years. My kids now are 40 and 50. So that means that they even was under the leadership of Pastor Kelly, okay, from the park, and now they're going to have their own kids. What I'm saying is Miss Zonya Ray was there at the age of 16. Dakari and Zonya, I seen them put forth multiple hours for this park. They built this park. I said that they built this park. And for them to be fired, no, we're gonna fight for that. Okay, Zonya and Dakari has spent multiple hours and hours and hours to keep our kids. You know what I'm saying? When I didn't have a way to get them, they made sure they got home. They left nobody child on that park. Football season, I'm always there. I'm always there. But what I want to say is we're not going to let them go. We're going to fight for them. And seeing as y'all stop eating that little cheap meal that you get and clapping up, because that ain't good.
Miss Carolyn. Thank you. We ask that you keep it down, please, please.
My name is Gabriella Gaither. My address is 540 Sherrod Avenue, and I'm giving my 3 minutes to Ms. Angelina.
Angelina Roberts, 640 Dunad. I have several concerns. One of my biggest issues that I have with the firing of the employees, no due process. The other issue that I have, we're running an organization, we're running a park with 7 or 8 staff. People are quitting every day because the management is running them out of the Parks and Recreation Department. It's really sad. The other issue that I have is we have the Park and Recreation Director 2 months ago, conveniently, the private sector that they were trying to bring into Shabani Park, the nephew of the person came up and said that they were gonna get rid of the director on the park 2 months ago. We have that in writing. Conveniently, 2 months ago, is issues in the park. Team Upward Bound has been trying to get the Parks and Recreation Department for the last 25 years. And it's a sad day in our community where we have to battle with Team Upward Bound on every cause. Now, let me give y'all an explanation on why everything is going on. And on May 31st, 2024, we were supposed to have an audit. Everybody know that the books are bad for misuse of funding in the city of Opa-locka. We're under the state care, but it's a misusing of funding. The plan was to privatize parks so that Team Upward Bound would come in and take over the program because they are grant funded. Then in October, there's the fiscal year. When the fiscal year comes in, we're gonna get a new budget. We have an extension to December 31st of 2024. If you get your budget from October 2024, you can clear any bad budget that you have, and next year you're going to run into the same situation. Up until last week, we have a city manager making $190,000 using a city vehicle, and the contract says he cannot even be in a city vehicle. And that's what the contract states. we have once he put down the vehicle and parked the vehicle, we had the taxpayers' dollars going out to pick him up and bring him to the work. Why didn't he try Lyft and why didn't he try Uber? I know I'll be fired tomorrow, but I'll take that. At the end of the day, we have to do right for the citizens of this community. We're wasting money on everything but the right thing here in Opa-locka. The fire hydrant. A couple of months ago, I went to Meet Me Monday. I said, who run the fire hydrant? The city manager said, we do. I know they did. Know why? Someone work over there told me they turned the water on so that they can build that complex off of 27th Avenue. That's not right. What about this community? We talked about it. Everything I say, I have it in black and white. I don't throw rocks and hide my hand. I'm too old for that. But you have to treat people like you want to be treated. I had a meeting with the city manager. He didn't have an answer for the things that I approached him with. I never disrespect him. I never did anything. But at the end of the day, you don't treat people bad. 1 hour after I had a meeting with the city manager, he came back and told the HR director to fire or force Ms. Ray to resign. That's not right. We have an HR director. We paying $165,000 a year. 7 months into the contract, we don't even have policies and procedures. We have a problem in this city.
Good evening, mayors and commissioner. Audrey Dominguez, 1147 Jan Avenue. I'd like to thank the clerk for an information that I requested, which is the Seniors on the Move, a list. I requested it January 8th. I received it 6 months later. It's only 4 pages long. And just to let you know who was holding it, it was the city manager. Okay. 6 months to get 4 pages. But there was a reason why I requested it, and you guys have it. And this doesn't apply to the residents or the seniors that are on the move that belong on that list, okay? That's why when I brought it up, I brought this information because that's proof, facts, not what I've heard. So I thought the Seniors on the Move was specifically for seniors that live in Opa-locka. We have 51 active members and 15 that do not live in Opa-locka. Okay? Some live in Miami, others live in Miami Gardens, and every city own funding, they have their own funding for their seniors on the move or seniors. So my question is, why do we have a staff member that has her husband on the Seniors on the Move and does not live in Opa-locka? That's a conflict of interest, and that should not be happening. You're using taxpayer dollars, seniors' money that can go to seniors that really want to go to these Seniors on the Move programs. And I know that there's a trip planned to Niagara Falls. So, you know, as a member, I live here, I'm part of the Seniors on the Move, and I'm yet to receive any information. Go figure.
One second, Commissioner, we want to
Thank
respect
you.
everybody's time. Go ahead, Commissioner.
Okay. So I also wanted to speak, well, I'm gonna speak on the ordinance after because it's gonna take me a lot more than 3 minutes. And yes, I have been on the bus. I went to a meeting, an event that it doesn't matter, but I have proof that I went because even Anna Alvarado was there. So that's all that matters. I was there.
Thank you, Commissioner. We're gonna ask you that you keep it down in the chambers.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Carolyn Reynoso. I live in 1106 Berry Street. I am here today. Sorry, I'm nervous. On the park, I'm known as Coach Red. I'm also a sponsor and I volunteer for the park. I'm not just that, I'm also a general manager in the face of multiple properties in South Florida. I am here today to speak my truth on the firing of Dakari Griffin, Terrence, Michael, and the wrong actions taken against Ms. Ray. How it has impacted my children and our community. The route my child was on before they came into his life was not the best route. Today, he's known as most improved. I am very unhappy, and it has taken me by surprise the decision that has been made, and don't feel they are legally justified. If the actions that were taken are not corrected, myself and my sponsor, which I have 15 sponsors, out of the 15, I have a couple with me here today, we're all gonna walk out of Opa-locka. Even with everything that has been going on, Kari has made it his job to reach out to everybody in Opa-locka. With no kids, there's no parks. A lot of parents was ready to move their kids out of Opa-locka. So what I'm saying is, I stand here today with my sponsors, and we stand behind Coach Kari, Ms. Ray, Terrence, Mike, and everywhere possible. I have a couple letters. I'm not sure who I can give them to, but more sponsors.
You give them to Stephen, and then he'll give them to us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Coach. Citizens Farmers.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
My name is Rafael Yee. I'm a business owner in Opa-locka, 13200 Northwest 43rd Ave.
Go. Mr. Yee, go ahead. Yeah, so
I'm one of those, the park's, sponsor. I'm gonna be one of the ones walking out too. You guys from the beginning, when I first walked in, you guys were asking for proof of funds. I got proof of my funds. I got FaceTime. I got no paperwork. I got no receipts. They called me. Those kids ate pizza. Those kids went places. D, where my guys at? Everybody, look at all these people here.
Mr. Raphael.
I'm on
Mr.
correct. Sorry.
Mr. Raphael. Huh.
But I'm trying to make a point.
I got you.
They didn't do it to me. Can you guys make it happen for us? Please do so. I sponsor with the little bit that we could make, put aside, and we give back. They didn't do it for me. I had to go play in Miami Springs baseball. All right? So please, I just want to ask for help. You guys want proof? I have proof, and I'm letting you guys know that. Please. We good? We need you guys. Where are they gonna go? Where are they gonna go? KF City? Miami Gardens? Sorry about that. Lake Zurn? How about Opa-locka Parks? You guys probably never know me, but I own a business here. General construction and plumbing. Thank you.
Thank you. Again, we're gonna ask that we not make noise in the chamber. Go ahead, sir.
Liddell Jackson, 2507 Superior Street. Before I'm gonna say what I'm gonna say, to the commissioners here and the mayor, the city manager, I was sitting here listening to your people. And this could be a better city. You know, we have many people that have lived here and moved out. This place can be just as nice as Weston. It could be just as nice as West Pembroke Pines. We ride through there all the time to go to the malls. We have to drive out our city to go to a mall. So moving on, I'm back here from, I think, 2 weeks ago, I think it was June 24th, the last meeting, in reference to the flooding that's going over there on Superior Street. Now, I have a property there that I can't even utilize or fix until the problem is fixed. I have invested money 3 or 4 times. My place has been eroded, it's been flooded, and I can understand if it's just my yard being flooded, but the whole neighborhood has been flooded. Now, I gave my information to this guy here. You said I was gonna hear, I haven't heard anything since the 24th. Now, I can't fix my place until you fix the problem. Because I continue to invest money into this property and it's continue to do the same thing. Now, many people that live over there don't know that they could come here and speak on that problem. I'm here to speak for them because I know better. And I'm asking, please take care of that because I'm paying taxes just like the rest of the people and I can't even use my property. And it's not right. Now, y'all promised me that somebody's gonna be, come talk to me in reference to this issue and they haven't done it. How much longer do I have to wait?
Okay, Mr. Jackson, you have my word. We will ensure that somebody reaches out to you.
Please,
Yes, sir.
like the last 4 times I invested thousands of dollars into this property and have not said anything to you guys. But I can't continue to do it.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Hi. My name is Stephanie Ray. My address is 2421 Northwest 139th Street. My daughter-in-law is Sonia Ray. She has always given her life, her time to the recreation department. Now you want to fire her after all her loyalty to the park for over 20 years. I have seen her go through so much. She's been in the hospital, she's been stressed, and this is the thank you she gets. This is not right because when you're stressed, you have all kind of medical problems. And when you're depressed, you have all kind of medical problems. But you know one thing she always did, Mr. Manager? She always wanted to come back to this recreation department so she can take care of the seniors, take care of the kids. You never seen someone so devoted as her. I know personally because I have seen it over the years. So what just has happened shouldn't have happened, and you need to investigate it, Mr. Taylor. Because one thing I do know, she's a dedicated person. She loves the recreation department and she loves City of Opa-locka. And she have gave her life and her time to City of Opa-locka. And you need to investigate him or whoever is trying to fire her or fire her. All I know, I was needed to be here, and I'm here to support her and let you know that you need to investigate that. And she needs to be right here because she always gave her time, her life. She have her children here. She got to put her children here so she can help take care of this park. How many mothers you know is that dedicated? So I want you to know, and let me tell you what I had on my last little note, that she will always be dedicated to the City of Opa-locka.
Again. Go ahead, sir.
How you doing? How y'all doing? My name is Coach Blow. I stay on 15310 Northwest 29th Avenue, Opa-locka, Florida. My question is this. If we getting rid of Kari and Zanya and the other coaches from the park, who's going to be taking over the park? What are the kids going to be doing now as far as football and basketball? Because I'm also the football coach and a basketball coach. My son played football at Opa-locka. My grandson is on the team now. My son is the quarterback of FIU right now, Kewan Jenkins. So we done been at Opa-locka for over 20 years. So the leadership that Kari, without Kari, it ain't gonna be no Opa-locka football or basketball because he is Mr. Opa-locka football and basketball. Kari is the one pick up the kids, take the kids home. The few kids that we do have, we already don't have a lot of kids at Opa-locka already. Every team is short, and that's if Kari don't do what he do and doing what he been doing, we wouldn't have never had no program. My grandson is on the 12U team this year. That team only got about 5 kids. They don't even have enough kids to play. That's sad. That I don't know what's going on and why the kids not coming out of Opa-locka, but I do know without Zanya and Kari, we won't have a program. That's definitely gonna be the problem. Now, we're not gonna have a program, who you got coming in to take over the program? So this year, we just gonna football and basketball or whatever we got at Opa-locka, we scratch that and start over next year? So what about where we gonna continue from right now? That's my biggest problem.
Thank you, Coach.
Tommy Johnson, 14265 Northwest 22nd Avenue, Apartment 2. I want to give my 3 minutes to Brian Dennis because I don't want to curse, but I think we need to get rid of this manager because he's no good.
Madam, Mayor and Commissioners, that's the gentleman that works for Shaquille O'Neal. That's the gentleman who I taught him politics since he was 16 years old. His auntie, Miss Yvonne Mitchell, was my best friend. I want to give you this before I go. The HR director cannot hire a fight. That is the sole discretion of the manager. But in my sanctified imagination, I will guarantee you that the manager threatened the HR director to get her fired by saying he got 3 votes up here to get her fired. When the HR director, I want you to hear me now, when the HR director has to get tissue and crying because they got to relieve an employee, that lets me know that pressure is going on. So let me go back just this here in my closing. The HR director said that when the hiring was going on, there were 2 people that didn't qualify. 2 of the gentlemen didn't qualify. We know that it was 1 female and 2 gentlemen. We know who one of those gentlemen was. He's the manager. Again, the commission has the right to hire who they want to hire. And you did that. But here's the flip side of it again. You also have to give due process to those citizens and employees that depend on you that see this stuff is going wrong. And if you have an HR director that could be threatened by the manager, and we know the manager is a bully.
Come on.
No, I'm not saying it to be funny. Not saying it to be funny, because if you try to bully me, I know, and you couldn't bully me, I know what you can do to somebody that you can't bully. But I will say this to each and every one of y'all. Be careful. A lie don't care who tell it. And if he could write an ethics report or say you tied to this and you did this just to make up a lie to make himself look good, that's what spoiled children do when they get in trouble. Nobody wants to beat them when they get in trouble, but we all know foolishness is bound in the heart of a child, but the rod of correction drives it far from them. The correct thing would be with your rod and your belt would be your vote to suspend the manager.
Thank you. Citizens Forum is still open. Citizens Forum is closed. All right, so all right, I'll say to you all, and it was quoted well from, who was that, man? Mr. Jackson, that said, listen to your city. We hear you. We hear you. And we thank you for coming out to voice your concerns. So we thank you for coming out to voice your concerns. To Mr. Jackson, we will ensure, I don't see him, but we will ensure that somebody gives you a call like tomorrow. We will ensure. And you gave your number to your communicate. Okay. And I think that is it. All right. And we're good.
Mr. Mayor.
Commissioner.
I'll defer. I'll let the manager speak before I speak. You know, I'm not gonna let, go ahead. Manager wants to speak. I'll wait till he finishes.
Mr. Manager, I'll give you time.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I find it important to address the concerns of the community. I did have an extensive speech that I would have liked to have shared However, given that I have been contacted by two law enforcement agencies that have informed me that I can be limited on what I can share in a public forum. Due to an ongoing potential ethics and an ongoing criminal investigation, because it may compromise the investigation, I am not at liberty to discuss, as may be confirmed by the Chief of Police of the City of Opa-locka, Kenneth Otley. Now, what they, obviously with so many citizens coming out to get answers, it hurt me to know that I am being muzzled by law enforcement agencies. What they did say is that I can share my personal experience. And I think that that is important to do right now. Zonya Ray was on the parks for 30 years. 35 years without a 35 years without a promotion. She saw some nearly 25 city managers that never gave her a promotion. I was the first city manager.
Come on, you all. Come on.
That saw her hard work, that saw her dedication to this community. And I saw what she could potentially provide this community. I promoted Zonya Ray.
One second. Chief, do we have a sergeant at arms? You're just sitting there. Come on, Chief. I need you to jump in. Please. Mr. Manager,
I need to put this on the record, sir.
Go ahead.
I promoted Zonya Ray to Parks Director because I believed in her. And I gave her the salary commission with that. For 35 years, she made no more than $53,000 a year. I not only promoted her to Parks Director, I gave her a $40,000 raise. Dakari Griffith been on the parks for 15 years. Nobody saw the talent in that man. I met with Dakari one-on-one right here in this building in my office, and we worked on Ingram Park together. The vision for Ingram Park together was co-written by Dakari Griffith. And it was that moment that I knew how much talent that this young man have. And I promoted him to Park Superintendent, the second in command of the parks, and also gave him a $10,000 raise. So, although my statements are being muzzled because of a criminal investigation and potential ethics investigation, the notion that I'm somehow against or have some personal vendetta against Mrs. Ray and Mr. Griffin couldn't be further from the truth. I have believed in them. I have supported them, and Dakari in particular, because of his love for the kids on these parks, because of how he's transformed the lives of so many of the young people he touched. I personally took him under my wing. So these terminations were not done maliciously or lightly. And there is a day coming soon when these investigations are completed that the truth will be told. The narrative that's out there, my picture is being foisted on Facebook and all the things being said about me, not knowing how I've supported these individuals. I just want to correct that for the record. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. All right.
Mr. Mayor.
Commissioner Kelly.
Thank you. I appreciate the comments of the manager. I hear the citizens. As an elected official around this community for the last 5-6 days, this has been swirling, whether it's social media, whether it's just seeing someone at the light or going by the park. I appreciate the comment, Mr. Manager. We got an email from you today at 2:06, basically saying that Ms. Lawson was going to be in charge of the park. and that Ms. Ray was out due to personal reasons. That's the first correspondence we got from you regarding this whole situation has occurred. We went through July 4th celebration, lack of staff. My colleague who spearheads it, Vice Mayor, lost her voice trying to do a lot of things out there. You had employees who had to come back, supposed to be off. This whole dialogue and the whole way this happened is really challenging to me. You have the right to hire, you have the right to fire, et cetera. We know that comes through you, not through HR. It comes through you. My biggest challenge is the park, even right now, since you indicated tonight that you're muzzled by law enforcement via ethics, et cetera. You could have submitted that same information to us email prior to now. I'm quite sure. Let me just ask this question. You just found that out a minute ago?
No, sir. I have received those 2 phone calls today.
I said earlier today.
Earlier today.
Right.
That's correct.
Mr. Manager, don't try to get this with me now. I'm trying to be nice. I'm trying to really hold my cool. Don't go that route. I'm trying to give you a doubt because you have some information obviously we don't have. And as the manager, you've been it's indicated that, and you mentioned the chief name, that there's information on the ethics violation potential and investigation. And while that may be the case, as an elected body, we should have gotten that information, not details, but what was going on so that we can communicate to residents what we do know. What has come across is though you have an elected body that has no clue what is going on. And just like you're supposed to answer to us, we have to answer to the community. And we've been in the dark doing that. We've been in the dark doing that because you have 4 individuals that have been, well, 3 and 1 potentially terminated. And yet you have an understaffed park system. I saw Miss Darden the other day walking down the street, about 25 kids last Friday, coming to City Hall. I ran parks. I know good and well she shouldn't have had 25 kids, but she was doing it because I'm quite sure she was directed to handle the camp program. That's concerning to me that something had to happen to one of those kids. I know the mayor wants to move on. There's a whole lot more I can say. Mr. Manager, you made it clear that you cannot say a whole lot. Nobody knows probably Ms. Ray regarding Parks and Recreation than I did. Because while you may have given her the raise, I'm the one who hired her. So I'm fully aware of all of that. I coached Dakari on the park when he was a little kid. Even before he came to the park, was at Public Works. So we all have history. So we can go down that road. I'll respect the decision that you're the manager and you're saying to this commission and to these residents that you have information that you can't share that will shed light as to why you've made your decision. And I will say at the earliest opportunity or moment that you let this commission know what has occurred and hopefully that will shed light onto your reasoning for what you're doing. But park doesn't need to have staff. It needs to have someone over there more than what you have because you don't have enough people covering all aspects of parks operation. I will say this, Mr. Mayor, to my colleagues, and I've said it before, everybody has a boss. And I'm gonna leave it right there. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Commissioner Kelly. All right. Any other? All right, we're getting ready to move on to our action items. Madam Attorney, 12-2? No, I'm sorry, 12-7. That was one of those.
A resolution of the City Commission of the City of Opa-locka, Florida, approving or denying the serving and or sale of alcoholic beverages for a Paintopia event hosted by SoFlo Venues Corp. to be held at 134449 Northwest 42nd Avenue within the city on July 21st, 2024, providing for incorporation of recitals, providing for an effective date. This is sponsored by the city manager.
All right, can I get a motion?
Move it.
Moved by Commissioner Williams,
A second.
second by Vice Mayor. Mr. Manager?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is a special events, and our special events policy has these type of projects come through our community development department. And we have our community development director, Mr. Gregory Gay, available to answer any questions you may.
1 second. We're gonna. Chief, Sergeant at Arms, can we help escort the people out quietly so that we can continue with the meeting? This. All right, Mr. Manager, you said you were.
Yes, sir. This is a special events, process goes through our community development department, and we have community development director, Mr. Gregory Gay, here to answer any questions that you may have.
All right, I'm gonna yield the floor to Commissioner Kelly, because he was the one that pulled this item. Commissioner Kelly?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I really want to bring to our attention, this is the second one that's come up. This one is from 6 a.m. To 11 a.m. Again, to sell beverages. I want to know, first of all, how many officers are required for this? And I say that because the last time they had an event, there was some things going on in the city, and it seemed that we had a challenge with having enough officers all over the place. What was going on? So number one, how many officers for this particular event are required, or that we are mandating for this? Number one.
Mr. Manager, can we get IT to fix the mic so Mr. Gay can speak on this?
IT department, could we address the mic situation, please?
Testing. Got it on. Gregory Gay, Director of Planning and Community Development. As these particular special events come before us, we do have a committee that does the review. The police department is responsible for determining what the number of officers would be in regards to covering those particular events based on the number of participants they anticipate having. So I would defer that question to the chief to respond.
Chief Holly?
Good afternoon, Mayor, Commissioners. There's going to be approximately 5 to 7 officers available for this event, as we had done for the last event, and it went over effectively without a hitch, along with security officers provided by the owners, by the producers.
So how many, Mr. Mayor, to the managers of the chief, how many officers are required? You're saying 5 to 7. How many required for an event like this?
5.
5 officers required. That's separately paid, not the regular officers on the street.
Yes, off-duty rate.
All these off-duty officers. Okay. And you said the last one out without a hitch?
Yes, Commissioner.
I'm sorry, say it again?
Yes, Commissioner.
No problems?
No problems.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I still thank you for your answer. I'm challenged because these events keep coming up that want to serve. The last one was till basically late at night. This one now is 6 a.m. So are we becoming the place that you go to for your alcoholic events or whatever you want to party? And I know the officers are getting paid, but I'm trying to figure out the other benefit, because this venue, I'm concerned is going to become the place where you're going to hang out now for parties, come to Opa-locka and do them. And I'm challenged by the statement, but since you said it, I'll take your word for it that it went off without a hitch. Because when I came, okay, no, let me leave that alone. All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Any other questions to the manager, Mr. Gay, or to the chief as it relates to this event? All right. We can call the question.
Mr. Mayor?
Madam Attorney?
Yes, I do not have a question, but I want to bring to the commission's attention what I brought to the manager's attention. on the 2nd of July. And each time that this comes up and there's any flea market reference, I've always put on the record that we're not operating consistently with our code from the first time that this flea market was closed, that flea market was closed down and moved into this indoor facility. If you look in your staff report, you'll see a reference to the indoor flea market. I didn't put that in the legislation because there is no indoor flea market pursuant to your code of ordinances because it doesn't meet the criteria. So one of the things that I've said consistently is that you have provisions in your code of ordinances that talk about what you have to have for a flea market, period. And so that consists of a minimum lot area of 25 acres, subject to compliance with all codes or ordinances of the city. So it specifically talks about flea market. And so staff keeps referring to this location as a flea market. And my concern is that you're in a position now where it doesn't meet hardly any of the criteria that you all are required to have for a flea market. It has to have, there can be no alcoholic beverages, first of all, in a facility like that. There can be no, there has to be certain sanitary and safety requirements. There have to be certain bond requirements. There have to be certain, all kinds of things that security, things that are not being done. And still, even the city in its own staff reports are calling this a flea market, which it can't be a flea market. So now you're expanding this to the outdoor area of the flea market to be able to do things that wouldn't be allowable in association with the flea market because the city just won't change its code, which I've said at least 3 times in 3 different meetings that it's not meeting the code requirements that we just cannot ignore for a flea market. So I want to put it on the record. I've tried to, do it I've done it in an open meeting twice. I've done it with the manager and writing him, a long list of things that why a flea market is problematic, and then adding things onto this, things that you might do because if there are liability issues, if somebody sues, somebody's hurt, they're going to go back to all of these things. It wouldn't just be whether you're having alcoholic beverages on one day. It would be all of these things about why were you even there? Why would you even allow it? So I just want to put it on the record again so that you all, consider that as a part of whatever you vote on. I don't take a position one way or the other. I'm just telling you what your own code of ordinances say. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Attorney. Well, I know you say you don't take a position, but you are our counsel, so we're asking, now I'm asking you for direction.
Well, I mean,
Because-
I would have your staff go back and correct the code, as I keep saying, to have, if you don't want, there were reasons why you all had, all these acres and flea market. You had all kinds of problems at that old flea market. Everybody knew it. It was a problem for years. It was a headache, a miserable headache for the city. Caused so many problems, so many things associated with it. That's why the city put all of these codes and restrictions and everything in place. So when the new manager came in, what he did was, I guess he wanted to save the vendors or whatever he was doing. And he came and he made this place and worked with whoever owned it, a flea market. It is not supposed to be a flea market underneath your code, pursuant to your own code of ordinances. So, you can do what you think is best. I just do the legal part. So I'm just telling you, legally, it is not a flea market, but staff is still referring to this as now calling it the indoor flea market and all this other stuff. It is not supposed to be a flea market. So if you want to change your code, but don't add other things on top of it that now you're expanding the, responsibilities, issues, obligations, rights of people who are not even supposed to be legally in place pursuant to your own code. So, with that, that's my legal opinion, and you all have to vote how you think you should vote based on what you believe you need to do.
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner Williams?
when you were making the comments about the legality of it, and I think something that struck me, and I guess I want to just get a little bit more dig into that. So I understand the fact that if the code is not corrected, and it is not, you just explained that to us. However, what are the implications though, if something does happen with someone in terms of us passing this legislation. And then that implication can, it sounded as if it can potentially reach back to the commission and then we could be liable. So I that's something I,
Well, when you
don't
say the
want.
commission, it probably
Or
would
the
be,
city. I'm
it
so
probably, yeah,
sorry.
it
The
wouldn't be
city, that's all.
individually.
Yes.
But certainly if an attorney, and I'm not trying to give legal advice to attorneys who might be trying to sue the city from the dais, but it creates a liability for
Correct.
the city because you already know that you have certain requirements under your own code that say this is what you do when you're operating a flea market. So you may have law enforcement officers out there. They may be the 5 people that the chief said, the 5 law enforcement officers. That and something happens, even in spite of all of the things that you're doing under another provision of your code, and somebody still gets hurt or killed or whatever. They're not going to care that you had 5 law enforcement officers out there and you did all of these other things. They're going to be looking at, well, you know what? They weren't supposed to even be there. And what about the parking? And what about this? And looking to all of these things that I keep saying in different meetings that still hasn't been changed as liability issues for the city. So yeah, it creates a liability issue for the city. I saw that Mr. Gay just responded to something yesterday that I wrote, but he's still not addressing the issue of the code. He's saying he's looking at another provision of the code and they're not paying attention to that, but it is still, you're calling it a flea market. So we can't like ignore part of a code and pay attention to another part of code. It's dealing with flea markets. And so that's what this is supposed to be. This is the parking area for it. I'm assuming the city is even referring to it in its own staff report as an indoor flea market. And it's not supposed to be. Now you're adding things to it. So
Mr. Mayor, I have a question.
One second. Okay, go ahead, please, ma'am.
I'm just trying to wrap it all together. So the word flea market needs not to be said because the event is an outdoor event. Am I correct?
yeah, if you look at, I'm just telling you when
I
connecting
just
all,
wanna
yeah,
know.
the connecting all the dots, but even in the outdoors of a flea market, which the city is calling it an indoor flea market in its own staff reports, its own records, its own reports, you still have certain things that you're supposed to abide by in that parking area of a flea market, right? You're still supposed to have certain requirements that are supposed to be met pursuant to having a flea market in an area in Opa-locka. Now, if somebody takes the time to change it and reviews it and it comes before you as, 2 readings of an ordinance and they can explain why this is good and it's complying with everything. But I can tell you right now, based on your own code of ordinances, I'm telling you, you don't meet the requirements of a flea market for that particular location. And that's the issue. So whether it's in the parking area or, whatever, that's an extension of this facility that the city is calling an indoor flea market.
So should we be calling it something else?
Well, your staff is
So
already
what
your
just-
staff is already calling it an indoor flea market. They've been calling it an indoor flea market. Every time your manager brings it before the
Madam
commission, he's
Attorney,
calling it.
I think we
Okay, I'll stop. All right.
can call.
Okay,
I think
no,
the manager was going to say something.
when is this event, Mr. Manager?
The event is July 21st,
That is in 2 weeks, next week?
in 2 weeks.
Okay. And you already gave them the permits for this event, so I'm seeing.
This is part of the process of getting the permits. Once they get the okay from you all as it relates to the alcohol sales, the other parts of the permits will be addressed and they will be able to receive a permit.
Do they plan, I'm sorry, through the mayor, do they, if this is passed, approved or denied, do they still plan to move forward with the event? Or did they say that to you?
I'm not aware if they are or not.
All right. And
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner Kelly?
let me just be clear, and I've operated this way for a long time. If the attorney gives me legal advice with the concern, I tend to follow that advice. Not so much, I'm opposed to, because these keep coming up, and I got a feeling they're going to keep coming up every so often, having these events at that location. There's a lot of other places you can go, but it seems now Opa-locka is going to be the place to come for the night event. Now, this one is a breakfast event. I want to sell alcohol 6 a.m. in the morning, which is kind of challenging to me in itself. But that notwithstanding, they're going to keep coming up. But the bigger question I have now is, with the attorney saying about the designation or the wording, and it's in the staff report because I'm looking at it now, that designation that could be problematic and or concerning from a legal standpoint going forward. That's the other reason why I will not support it, because I think we're opening up a Pandora box every 2 or 3 months now. It looks like we're going to have some kind of party at that location. I'm not against the parties, but I am against when you have to have a special concern or special things for it to make it occur. But now it's even a greater concern when it says that the Opa-locka indoor flea market. So if we want to change the zoning, change the designation to where it fits, then that's a different discussion. But right now I couldn't support it just based on attorney legal opinion. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
No problem. All right, any other questions to the manager or the attorney on this item? All right, Madam Clerk, we can go ahead and call the question.
Vice Mayor Irvin,
No.
Commissioner Kelly, Commissioner Williams,
No.
Mayor Taylor.
No.
Motions fails 4-0.
All right, moving on to item 16A1.
Mr. Mayor, is item number 10 going to be pulled? I think that was still remaining.
No, we voted on it.
Oh, we did.
There was only
Okay,
one
with the
item pulled.
consent. Yes, sir. Okay. Going to the next item, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Opa-locka, Florida, adopting an amendment to the Land Development Regulation Ordinance 15-31, Article 5, Section 22-142 to create a new definition for indoor shooting ranges and permit indoor shooting ranges in the I-3 zoning district as a conditional use and provide general requirements for zoning, location and distance, site plan, licensure, nuisance, providing for severability, providing for an effective date. This is sponsored by the city manager. It was deferred from 6/26/24.
All right, can I get a motion?
Move it.
Moved by Commissioner Williams,
Second.
second by Vice Mayor. Mr. Manager?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is an item coming from our Community Development Department. It is a text amendment to allow a new use for an indoor gun range here in the city of a private indoor gun range here in the city of Opa-locka. We have the chief of police that has negotiated a special use for the Opa-locka Police Department, which will turn us into one of the premier training facilities for police officers here in South Florida that will attract more officers, attract collaboration and training events with other area departments as we are excited to do. We also have the applicant here to provide answers, questions, and presentations should there need be.
All right. Any questions or concern on this item?
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner Kelly?
I don't play on words. I play on facts. I asked the information from my briefing, and so I got it today, well, the night when I got here, because we're changing this to a conditional use. In other words, we're allowing this for something that is not really allowable. And we do that from time to time with various things. When this was brought forth initially, and I remember going back and looking at the meeting from the Planning Council, and the chief spoke at that meeting about the police department being able to use it for potential training and keeping the officers sharp on their shooting, which was fine. I have no problem with that. But when you're going to give an entity or an individual or a company a conditional use that seems to be private, I have a challenge with that. And I asked, would it be available for the community? Would it be available for all employees, et cetera, so forth? I understood the police. So when I got the information tonight, it says that private club component, private, it's an option decided by the individual owner of the facility, not a requirement of legislation. But yet what we're doing is we're doing this amendment, conditional use for a private entity, which may or may not allow public use or anybody for that matter. And so I'm challenged when you start doing that for individual companies where we're going to make this kind of decision, because that means when you open this up and other folks want to come into that district and that zoning, I want to create the same thing, but I want to make it private, or I want to make it where it's not used for the general public. Because I asked that question, would the general public have an opportunity to use it? I'm not against gun ranges. My wife, my son like to shoot guns. I'm not afraid of what they do. So it's not that. But I'm concerned we open up this door to where the next company, individual wants to come into that zoning, because now we're allowing a conditional use and they want to make theirs private. And it says the community benefit of having it. I got the police component. I did ask about the educational programs, safety seminars, outreach initiatives. It's all part of how it's laid out. What does that look like? Didn't get that answer. What does that plan look like? What is it in black and white? Not coming later, because the conditional use kind of sets everything else in motion. And if we don't approve that, then obviously nothing happens. I like to know before I open up that box. Hours of operation, obviously it's not provided in the legislation, but we can require certain hours, but that's not before us to even do. That's not even before us to do. So we don't have that as well. And then it says based on security needs. Again, I've seen gun ranges and warehouses at different places, so that's not my total concern. My concern is it seems like we're doing something for the benefit of a private entity. So when someone else comes in and this same potential zoning, they're gonna want to make theirs private? Are they gonna say the police can use theirs, or who can use it? I have some real concerns about that. I raised them. The manager did defer it because I'm trying to get some clarity. Anytime you open up the door for conditional uses where something doesn't exist, I have challenge with that. And this one appears to be for a specific purpose, not for the community. Even though it says that there's a community benefit, I don't see it unless, except for, as the manager mentioned, the police potentially being able to use it for training. I don't see any other engagement of the community. I don't see the actual plan that would take place. And again, I'm referencing that because that's a part of the whole Article 5, Section 22-142 of all of those requirements, getting down to the site plan, all of that. But I have to ask those questions now because it really starts the process with the conditional use approval. So whether it's the manager's office or Mr. Gay or whoever can address those concerns. And, I'd like to hear those answers if you have them.
Mr. Mayor?
I'm sorry. 1 second, Mr. Manager. I forgot to open a public hearing. Public hearing is open.
Audrey Dominguez, 1147 Jen Avenue. I'm a member of the Planning and Zoning Board. And that was one of the questions because I saw the paperwork that said it was going to be public use, or residents can use it. But then things kind of changed around and said, no, it was going to be private. So that was one of my concerns and my questions. But although it was in the package, afterward, they said it's not going to be used for residents or the public. So I just wanted to bring that report as the planning and zoning member. Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners. Wes Hevia, address 3800 Northeast First Avenue, Miami, Florida. I am a land use attorney for the Armory, and I'm joined by the Armory team. If you could just raise your hand, folks. As you know, what's before you today is first reading of legislation, which would create the framework for a new use in your code, specifically, as Commissioner Kelly referenced, a conditional use. So it would allow applicants to come in with their site-specific applications to apply for permission to open indoor shooting ranges within the industrial district of your city. Our group hopes to be the first applicant to bring one such application before you. Today, again, is just legislation. You're creating the framework to allow the use potentially. And then we would come in with an application, which we have, where we would have to bring that before you at a later hearing, hopefully sooner rather than later, so that we can talk through the specifics of our particular application, all the controls we have in place, the philosophy, the security components, and really get into introducing our team members and who we are and why we think this is important for the city. I know you'll hear from some others from our team during this public comment for the legislation, but I just wanted to address Commissioner Kelly's specific concern about vetting these individual applications. So, essentially this legislation, as you point out, sir, has multiple criteria that every applicant has to meet, but cutting to the chase of it, every application will come back before you before it is approved, and you will have the opportunity to approve those applications on an individual basis, site specific, approve those with conditions, or deny those applications. So there is a quasi judicial process. This is obviously the legislative process. There is a separate quasi judicial process that we look forward to proceeding with. And so we don't have to come during public comment, and we can get really into it, show you a full presentation, explain the full project to you, and hopefully get your support for that as well. But for now, our team is here, requesting support of this legislation so that we can have the opportunity to present a full application to you and really explain what we're all about. I know that there's another from our team, Kaj, if you would like to speak as well, to explain sort of what we view as the opportunity, the need, the public benefit, and the philosophy of our application. Again, it's just a teaser. We can't present the full application to you today until this legislation moves forward so that we can bring our site-specific application to you later.
Okay, I'll say this. We know what we're voting on.
Yes, sir.
But he had questions. So that's what I'm saying. We know what we're voting on. We know why we're here.
Yes, sir.
So you're gonna present as well?
Yes,
We understand what we're voting on.
Yeah.
We're changing our laws.
Yes.
So that we understand that. I just want to make that clear because you made it seem like we didn't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like, we saw all us looking at you like.
Certainly did not mean to imply you don't know what you're doing, sir. Absolutely not. Just providing context for the process, because it's important for us to say why we're here today and what we're asking you to please support today, which is the legislation that is obviously before you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Mr. Mayor, only thing is my question is, you stated that he wanted us to vote and then roll out the, I think that was the part that troubled me. So what are we doing? Because I'm not gonna,
Mr. Mayor?
I need a plan before I vote. Like, I don't vote and then roll out a plan. That's not how we do this in this great city of Opa-locka. I just want you to know how we do things.
Okay,
Not right.
so public hearing is still open. One second, Mr. Gay. Public hearing is closed. All right.
Wait.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so I'm gonna reopen public hearing. Public hearing is still open. Chief, we're gonna open up for you.
Hello, good evening, everybody. Retired Chief Cheryl Kaysen of this great city of Opa-locka. I'm here with deep regret to first say that we lost one of our police officers. He'll be Lieutenant Willie Dixon. When he retired with us in 2004, he was a sergeant. He was with us since 1980. I know Commissioner Kelly, you know him. I know Commissioner Irvin. You was a little boy. You was a little girl. But y'all came to the police department. You were an explorer, so you may remember him. And they live at 331 Sinbad Avenue. Mr. Manager, thank you for allowing me to be, I've been with that family about 5 hours today. The funeral is going to be, and we'll further update you, but I just want you to know. And He gave me the okay to do whatever we need to do to assist them in this situation. And it's the only police department Sergeant Dixon worked for. He was a well-respected young man. He was a good man and he was a family man. And he did work here a long time. I just want to say that I gave sympathy and condolences from the great city of Opa-locka. I spoke with Terry Wright briefly and told him that you gave us the okay for the escort and the chief, and that we will be working with them in commission. Anyway, I wanted to bring that forth in lieu of and let everybody, we maybe should have wanted to do a moment of silence because he was a great contributor to this community. I was also born here, raised here for the most part, and reared my children here and have this great love for this city and all of you. Okay, so I wanted to put that out there. Thank you.
Chief. All right, citizens, public hearing.
Thank you. Lieutenant Commander Kaj Larson, 1137 Southwest 5th Street, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, 33312. And before I speak about the legislative matter, I just wanted to make a general comment about my observations tonight. There's a quote that I carried with me in my notebook overseas when I was deployed as a SEAL officer, and it says that democracy is sometimes messy and frustrating, and someone is always unhappy and complaining about the government. But that's the nature of democracy. That's why it works, because it's constantly challenging leaders to up their game and do better. President Barack Obama. And the reason I like that quote is because as someone who spent 13 years overseas in uniform taking fire and then defending our democracy, I love the process of coming here, seeing our democracy in action, seeing you as leaders take fire and challenge everybody to do better. So I commend you for tonight. I know it's a contentious and difficult moment, but I commend you just as an observer of the process. In a pivot to the legislative matter at hand, I'm hearing yes.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I'm wearing two hats here. I'm in a dual capacity, both as a member of the Armory team, but I'm also the commander of the Special Missions Unit of the Southern Division of the Florida State Guard. And in my capacity as a member of the Armory team, I'm happy to address and hopefully assuage some of the concerns that were brought up by the commissioner, things like the membership. I just want to assure you that our specific intention for the specific use, which we'll be hopefully talking about in a further presentation, is that this is actually a very inclusive project. It's a members club, but that it's open to anybody. And we hope that it's a valuable asset to the community, not just economically, but culturally, from an education perspective. And I think we have demonstrated this already with some education and training that we've done with the police department. And our intention obviously is to continue that process. So, but outside of my capacity as a member of the Armory team and speaking in my capacity as a member of the law enforcement community here in Southern Florida, what I will tell you is that there is an insufficient lack of facilities to properly train. I had the privilege of taking 4 combat veteran members of my unit in the last month and teaching trauma combat casualty care to the officers of the Opa-locka Police Department. We certified over 13 officers in TCCC. This is, I think I've presented this to the commission before, but TCCC is a mechanism where we take our combat experience overseas. It's increased survivability on the battlefield over 40%. So I think in an after-action report that I shared with Chief Otley, I think we vastly increased the effectiveness of the Opa-locka Police Department, of the members who were specifically trained. And it's that kind of training that we intend to do in locations like this facility. So for me, as a member of law enforcement, I will benefit, regardless of how you feel about the specifics of the Armory project, from some kind of tactical facility local that we can access that will help us do our training. And yep.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, public hearing is still open. Public hearing is closed. All right, do we have any questions for the manager or Mr. Gay at this time?
I'm waiting on the answers.
Mr. Gay?
Yes, in regards to the questions that have been raised, As you know, within the legislation, this is basically to allow for a indoor shooting range facility to be placed within the city of Opa-locka, ideally within the I-3 or industrial areas of the city of Opa-locka. That is specifically what we're discussing here for this. As it relates to the details, and which is more of the questions that was asked in terms of the benefits. Those are things that are really more likely to be outlined as we go through this particular process. We don't know the specifics to that because we haven't been presented the specifics as to how this particular shooting range will be a benefit to the city of Opa-locka, other than what has been already explained specifically within the law enforcement community. In order to get to that, we need to be able to agree or not agree whether we want this type of facility in the city of Opa-locka. So that is really what is before you right now.
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner Kelly.
and I'm going to say this to you, really via the manager. You all should have done more due diligence before you brought it, because it makes it seem like we're, well, I'm going to say, hearing now, because what I heard in the planning meeting was private. Okay, private. Then I heard public, but I heard private. I heard the law enforcement component, but now I'm hearing, which I know because they haven't come forth in the site plan, that it's still really open. You got to be very clear when you're going through the process, because as the member said, we thought one thing, so that's why we did it, but then we hear something else. I've heard different things as well, but I've been around long enough to know once you open that door, it's hard to close it unless you have some specifics or parameters. Now, while an applicant may have one thing in mind, whether it's private, public, or just whatever, we as a city, when you start doing conditionals or doing something in an area that has never had it, we should have went around to see what is it like in Pembroke Park, or where is it like in Medley that may have this kind of facility. So we have an idea, because once you open the door, it's very hard to close it. And so I'm really challenged by that, Mr. Manager, going forward. When you have something that particularly wants to come to an area that's never been, we need to take a little more time ourselves before we even bring it to the commission, so you all can suggest and recommend that if we're going to open this door, here's what we're suggesting. That if you're going to do this, because this is not the norm, or we don't have it at all, so we can create this however, we can do that on the front end, or at least you can propose it, and the commission can decide on the front end before we open this door, because that's always problematic. Now, hearing what you've said tonight and not having an actual plan and hearing the presentation, I'm going to support the concept, but I think it's very clear on where I'm headed in terms of making the public a part of this whole equation. I understand the private side, I understand the law enforcement need for special hours, special times. When you create these kind of zones, I still want a public benefit of engagement and a plan. So I would hope going forward, as it goes through the process, that's very clear. Otherwise, I will be, very challenging to the whole process. But having a clarity of where we are now, I'll support just getting it going. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
No problem. Mr. Gay, I do have a question, because it was stated that it's private, but also with, I guess there's a financial cost to it, a fee. So if I come off the street as a resident of Opa-locka, can I pay the club fee in order to join the club?
That is something that's determined by the operators itself. That's not part of this legislation.
Okay, so Madam Attorney, thank you. Madam Attorney, is there a way that we can add to this legislation that this has to be accessible to the community?
Mr. Mayor.
Hmm?
So that's the point I'm making. We're not there yet. That's part of.
No, this is this is changing the ordinance with the language, right?
Yeah, but what
Okay,
you're
that's-
referencing, what I'm
that's
talking
fine.
about in the
No, I'm
site
saying
plan.
add it in the ordinance, add it in the ordinance that there's an accessible, that we can, it is accessible.
We would like to, my land use attorney worked on this with staff for months. So I would like an opportunity to take that back because I'm
Okay.
not as familiar as she is and ask that question. If that's where the commission wants to head on this, I'm not prepared to answer that tonight.
Got it.
Well, that may be something that could be addressed between first and second reading, since this is an ordinance. So
Mr. Gay, I'm
I
gonna
don't know.
support the item. I just want to ensure that it's accessible, like Commissioner Kelly said, because I asked that also in my briefing, to the public.
And sir, I'm just asking if you do carry this forward, that not be an amendment to this tonight.
No, you can work it
Right.
out.
Very
with-
well.
In
Thank
some
you.
kind of way, add the language, but you asked, I'm sorry, Commissioner Williams. I think you had the floor. And we got-
Oh, I don't know. You did? I think I'm a little lost. And I'm gonna be clear, I'm gonna be like seriously candid. We're asking to change the ordinance, and if we vote on this ordinance, I think, this is to the city, to the Madam Attorney. If we vote this ordinance up, this changes, this is a new ordinance, and this stays in terms of indoor, outdoor shooting, unless now the ordinance is now reversed, correct? Indoor shooting, not indoor.
Well, yes, but each application would come before you all. So every time someone wanted to have a, conditional use that would fall under this ordinance, that applicant would come before you all with an application and tell you this is how we're going to plan to, have this property site used in a way that you would then approve or disapprove. So this is the first step as the framework for allowing these type of conditional uses.
And so I think where I'm troubled is it's just the use itself. So I think if we change this particular ordinance, now we open Pandora's box for any and all indoor shooting companies or whoever to now come in and say they want to, purchase one of our warehouses to create. And so potentially now we can flip our city from a junkyard or whatever we created over the years to now indoor shooting ranges. Like, that's how I feel. But nonetheless, I'm still and I get it that this is the first step to the legislation. This legislation in and of itself just bothers me. And I won't even lie, the initial presentation also bothered me as well. But I will support it just to see how far it goes. I have no problem reversing this as well. So, thank you.
All right, so we can go ahead and call the question if we have no other concern. Madam Clerk?
Vice Mayor Irvin,
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly,
Yes.
Commissioner Williams,
Yes.
Mayor Taylor,
Yes.
motion passes 4-0.
16A2.
An ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Opa-locka, Florida, repealing Article 11, Division 5, entitled Civil Service Board in its entirety, providing for severability, providing for an effective date. This is sponsored by the city attorney and the city manager.
All right, can I get a motion?
Move it.
Moved by Commissioner Williams. Can I get a second?
Oh.
All right. Okay. Ordinance dies for lack of a second.
Okay, I just want to put on the record, if I can, Mr. Mayor, the current ordinance needs to be repealed because it is not consistent with your current code of ordinances, the way your charter works, and it has a number of different issues that are being presented. We have previously brought this to you all before. Commissioner Kelly has also put, at least as a first reading, I think it went back and there were changes that were going to be made, an amended ordinance we need something done on this issue because it is not consistent. This predates our tenure here as the city attorneys. So it is not consistent with how your laws and how your charter operate now. And so it does need to be repealed. I guess I'm looking for some direction. Do you all want to bring forward Commissioner Kelly's legislation, or do you want the manager and I to bring forward Commissioner Kelly's legislation on the next agenda? But something has to be done because it's creating other problems where people are requesting hearings before this board that is not legally constituted according to your charter and ordinances.
Okay, well, Madam Attorney, this ordinance died for lack of a second.
I understand.
So you're saying that it's conflict with what's,
Yeah, well, you're in the same meeting. You can have this come up again. Somebody wanted to move it in second and do something with
no,
it.
that's not what I was asking.
But
You gave us options.
yeah,
You said it bring back Commissioner Kelly's legislation.
is that the
And then you do-
direction you'd like? Because we have to do something with
We don't know what
this issue.
Commissioner Kelly's legislation is.
There was a
One
first
second,
reading
Commissioner
on
Kelly.
it.
Mr. Mayor, as I said in my briefing, I'm really concerned about the repealing without having something in place. And I know I had proffered that information. It got stone walled, couldn't go forward, did never have the HR component added, which is required. And so I'm kind of intrigued now that we got to repeal it and do something, which I fully understand and hear the attorney saying, both her and the manager. But what I will do is I will revisit the legislation and well, it takes a while to get stuff back on the agenda now, but I'll revisit the legislation because there's still some components that were missing via the manager, i.e. HR director, which has to be a part of that process that could never take place. So I will revisit it and speak with the attorney and the manager. Let's see, this should have been taken care of and addressed back then when I was trying to get it done. And so now we're at a crossroads because other folks are asking for whatever. And so I always say when you open up that Pandora's box of doing or not doing, it's challenging. So I'm not supporting keeping it, but I will speak with the attorney and the manager about my previous legislation, and the commission can address it at that point unless you have some other ways you want to address it. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
No problem. All right, so we're moving on to the city manager's report. Mr. Manager?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a second, please. I'll start with some of our public works issues. We're having some significant engagement with the Miami-Dade County Public Works Department. Actually, their department's called WASD, Water and Sewer Division. We've already highlighted in this commission meeting some of the issues and challenges we're having regarding Carroll Lane and Northwest 127 Canal. That needs to be an ongoing engagement. And we'd like to do we will have some request some one-on-one meetings with the commission to kind of get some feedback on that. We still need to move forward with the negotiation of our contract or renegotiation of our contract. The county has allowed us to become more involved in decision-making when it comes to the water bills for the residents. They recently allowed us to do a one-time abatement for our residents. They are allowing us to weigh in on payment plans and cutoff dates, which gives us a little bit more flexibility to aid and assist our residents, but that's not in black and white. So we really want to press hard on the county with that renegotiation and move that forward. I'd like to give a highlight to our new PR firm, Hip Rockstar. They have really hit the ground running. We have our social media, our Instagram page, our Facebook page that is now up and running again. We are re-engaged on doing a monthly newsletter. We had our first meeting about that this week. So really excited to start working on that again. Hopefully get that out to the public first as a paper copy and a digital copy subsequently. Finally, I have a update. Well, we had the update on annexation that was requested by the commission. It was directly submitted to you. I will, in my one-on-one session, see if you have any questions or feedbacks regarding the annexation update to follow up or direction on that. And my other two updates regarding Gloria Gardens and the financial oversight, I'll do under the mayor's report.
All right, you have under your report RFQ for civil engineering and professional consulting services, CCNA.
Yes, that was removed,
Okay.
but the agenda had already been printed once
Got
it was removed.
No
My
problem.
apologies for that.
Any questions for the manager? Concerns? All right,
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner Kelly?
thank you. Mr. Manager, everybody except the clerk and the attorney work for you. Everybody but the clerk and the attorney work for you. So I have to speak to you because you're in charge of every other employee. I have asked, I have been given different reports and updates on things that's supposed to be happening, improvements supposed to be happening, and they're not happening. You don't write a ticket. You don't patrol the sidewalk. You don't pick up paper. You don't cut grass. You don't do all of those things, but they all fall under you. I've asked, I've presented, I've given you video of people parked on sidewalks, people parked in city right-of-ways, people parked in bus lanes, and the safety aspect of it happening. It's still happening. So that tells me that either you're not giving a directive and they're taking it serious, or I'm giving a directive and it's not taken serious. When I say directive, things that come up and meet me Monday is legislation passed, so that's not me talking. It goes back to you because you're the manager. The same thing with beautification. It was said a few meetings ago that was something going to be brought forth for our next beautification efforts. The only thing we've had happen beautification-wise is the Coachman Gardens. We're almost at the end of the fiscal year, and we've not had an additional beautification initiative or project, even though we were given a big brochure, something would happen. I got the information that was sent to us on annexation, and you say you can have one-on-one meetings, but in looking at information, that report or what has ceased to happen or completed to happen is really about 4 or 5 months old, where something should have come to the commission way before now dealing with annexation. Meeting deadlines, projects, and information. Still slow up, still seems to be a moving target. I can only request from you, because all the folks work under you. They all work under you that I'm referencing. The same complaints, the same concerns, loud music, blocking of streets, cleaning of places, picking up trash, trees by the canal. The same things I'm hearing over and over again. Just simple patrolling. firecrackers 6:30 in the morning, loud music 2 o'clock in the morning. The same things over and over. So that tells me that when I'm sending it to you and you're sending it to whoever, either it's not taken seriously or we'll just do whatever we want to do. I am really tired of just having to keep saying to residents, I hear you. I see you. I got the pictures. I'm out there myself. I see it. But it's not changing. It's not changing. It's still the same. Jet skis on Wilmington Street, still the same. We've had a couple of shootings here in the last few days, right over off of Burlington, et cetera. There's something going on. Haven't got a report, anything from the manager's office on what's going on, but the community is telling what's going on because they're right in the middle of it. Again, you're not out there. You don't walk around. You're not out there. You have folks doing that. But there's a disconnect, but I can only deal with you as the manager. Mr. Manager, I said to you in close, and I'm saying in public, you're the manager. You have to manager. You have to manage. But I am not going to sit here anymore. And I know the commission just passed it and made you the manager a few months ago, and that's fine. I work within the confines where we are. But if I have to, I'm going to speak up about all of this every single meeting until somebody gets it. Till somebody gets it. Timelines, projects, information, lack of information. I'm tired of it. I was hoping I was getting some in the water rate study. Where we are on that. Haven't heard anything about that yet either. Need to hear an update on where we are on that. And then I want to ask this question. Do we still have the police dog?
So let me respond to the water rate statement. All the information that we provided you with dates and timelines regarding the water rate study, and Mr. Anathis gave you the deadline of September, none of those dates and times have changed. Those are exactly the same information for the water rate study. With regard to the K9 has deceased. That is a process of bringing a resolution to the commission, which is not yet prepared to allow us to provide a ceremony for the dog.
But I got to hear in the streets that our K9 dog, which is an officer, is deceased. No, that can't be true because I haven't got an email or anything from management saying that, oh, Commissioner, it's true. No, it can't. We've gotten something. Not any specifics, but that it's deceased. And we're going to follow a process to honor the dog. I remember we brought him here. He was going on over, showing us all of the techniques, which was awesome. But I got to hear in the streets that we don't have one. What was that? I don't even, okay. There's a there's got to be a better way of communicating and getting information to us. And so I'm going to, and I really laid pretty low key the last couple of months because I really want to try to work within the confines of what's happening and not seem adversarial, but it seems that my niceness is being taken for weakness. Because when residents keep coming to me about the same issues over and over, and they're not tough issues. Not tough issues. Right there on behind Murphy's, the whole street blocked up. Music going to I don't know when. And then one of your folks, one of your officers at the meeting, oh, it's officer there. And your assistant was there. Your number 2 was there. They work for you. Everybody works for you except the clerk's office and the attorney. So it takes every meeting to put it on the record because something is going to eventually happen. Somebody's going to get hurt on Wilmington Street and 22nd Avenue coming out of there because those trucks and vehicles are blocking up. People are going to get tired of this loud music at 2 o'clock in the morning. And saying to residents, well, there was officers there. As though residents, I know what I see. I know what's going on. Where are the officers in the zones to patrol, to make sure? Why isn't the paper, paper not picked up, cutting the grass, not doing it fully? I was at Shabundi for 4th of July, beautiful. Went over to Ingram. The grass is half chopped. The areas where the weed eater, you could tell it didn't do it. There has to be accountability. And I love all employees. It's not an indictment on anybody individually, but the residents expect and demand more. And those kind of things need to be just done. They don't have the equipment, get them the equipment. Don't have enough manpower, then say that or whatever. Make out a schedule that it gets done. A lot of these things are not earth-shattering. They just need to be done. So the residents have a comfort level when they come before us to bring up an issue that it will get addressed or at least gets looked into. You had Mr. Harmon come on last meeting with his concerns. I haven't heard anything. The gentleman tonight that was talking about superior guards in the area, he's back again. And even though the mayor might tell, we want to talk to him, that's what staff should be doing, following up on those things. And not you. You got folks sitting here that should be writing that stuff down. When I ran parks and I sit in those same seats, if I heard a recreation come up, I'm writing it down there. When the manager calls me the next day about it, I'm already on top of it. It's got to get better. We got to hold folks accountable. Mr. Manager, they work for you. So I'll await the information on the ceremony for the dog and anything else. Thank you, Matt.
Okay. Mr. Manager, I do have a couple concerns from residents. The cleaning of the receptacles attached to the bus stops that stand today, who's in charge of cleaning those?
That would be Mr. King Leonard and his department.
Okay. So can we ensure that they're cleaned on a daily basis?
Yes, sir.
People are, yeah. And the other thing is, can we install a one-way or do not enter sign at the entrance of Glorietta Gardens? There's a one-way in, but you got to go around the guard gate.
I can look into that, but that portion may be the private property
No,
portion.
that's our street.
So, and if it's our street, then we'll have to, that was my second response. If it's our street, then we'll have to pass a resolution for a traffic study to get permission to do that.
To put do not enter sign?
Or on the street?
Yeah, there's a one-way entrance into the apartments.
Is it a public street?
Yes, Mr. Manager.
Then yes, sir. We
You've
would need
installed,
to.
okay, no problem. All right, the other thing is, Commissioner Kelly already asked for the update on annexation. You gave the plan, but it wasn't really an update. So whenever you all, please send it our way. And as it relates to the bus benches, where are we at with that, as well as the welcome signs in the city?
Yes. So we had to take both of those back and they were submitted and will be on the next agenda.
Okay. All right, I'm done. Any other questions to the manager?
Wait.
Vice Mayor?
Mr. Manager, we talked about the welcome to Opa-locka sign that's down on 37th Avenue and 151st. It's still there. It's still there. I see it every day. It's still
A
there.
child was playing on it, yeah. It needs to be removed.
So we'll remove it.
Thank you.
And
Thank
we
you.
finished, right, Commissioner Williams? She was done. She said she was done.
Mr. Manager, really quick, I just wanted to ask a question. I was perusing our agenda I noticed that the book bag giveaway is Saturday, August 3rd. Was that brought, like, did the commission come, or was that the Parks and Rec created that date? Well, it's on here. It says Saturday, August 3rd for the book bag giveaway.
Yes, that's usually hosted by Parks and Recs. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, no, I was just asking who proffered that date because none of us, I wasn't asked if, or any of us. So I was just wondering if that was who came up with that date. Just really quick, Mr. Manager, I just wanted to say just something really quick, and I keep using the word communication. I keep using that word, like I've used it repeatedly. Communication, communication. There's a serious lack of communication. The fact that this was the very first time that I heard that about the police dog, the fact that I have to come to commission meeting as an elected official. We have a lot of quasi-elected, an elected official. And so there's so many things that I hear when I come here that I did not know. It is not my job. It is not my responsibility to chase down management to figure out what's going on. And that's, I've backed away a little bit because I'm waiting. I don't want to berate or finger point, but I've said this before behind closed doors. There's a team, and you and I have had conversations about leadership. And I believe I'm a leader. And leaders can't lead by themselves. And so if you are holding all the information and you are the umbrella of the organization and everyone else does not know what's going on, you got to rethink that leadership. Not to, again, say that you're a bad leader. I think you're a great leader. I think there are some things that we have to figure out, some holes that are there. Because if there's a team, and again, you are the manager, you have the staff works for you. So I in no way want anyone to think that I am saying that this is how you should do your staff. But I'm just saying or suggesting that you figure out how to surround yourself with those that are talented enough that can help you lead. And so that information at all costs, because you are the manager and you also have assistants. You gotta figure out how that looks, how that organization looks. And so I would hope, because it feels, and I don't like to go on my feelings, but it feels as if that, and I'll use the ARPA presentation as another example. If you feel a certain kind of way about the board or members of the board, it feels like it trickles down to how others present to us, how others under your purview give us information or lack thereof, or no information at all. It feels as if you, and there could be some push-pull feelings, but then your organization, your group, your team that works under you will feel that as well. And that permeates to the dais. I am telling you, it does. It permeates. We see it. We feel it. We see the looks. We see the rolling of the eyes from not just you, but staff. We see it. It is happening, and it is a thing. And it no longer can't be, I can't silence myself about that, because I get it. You may not like things that we say or do, but but it is exuberating itself into the organization. And we feel it, we hear it, it's happening, and it is a thing, and it is pushing everyone apart. And it is creating a us against them. It is creating something that you got to figure out how to fix and close that gap, because it's the commission and it's the city, and that's not good. Or your employees, that's not good, because we have to work in tandem together. And so talk with us, figure out how to fix this so that it is not happening. It is, I am telling you, it is a thing. That top-down leadership is happening. If you feel some kind of way about the board, I'm telling you, it is showing. It is showing. And so I just want us to fix that. I think that it is called vision. What's the vision? And so this is why I keep saying we need to have our strategic planning meeting, because our visions must align. And so if I don't know your vision right now, it just seems like we're just in a ocean, and we're just kind of coming and going, and we're not. And I hear Commissioner Kelly, and I hear the mayor, and I feel like, okay, and I guess Brian Dennis says I'm a detective. So I hear myself. And I'll take that. I'll take the detective work. I'm cool being Carmen Sandiego, but I shouldn't have to be. So there's those things, like I keep hearing, you got Commissioner Dominguez saying, I sit on this board, but this was said over here, and this is something else. That's got to stop. Like, we got to fix all these things. Every commission meeting, someone comes up, it sounds like negotiations are happening behind the scene. People are planning things behind the scene. People are signing contracts or negotiating contracts before it comes to the board. It has to stop. Or at least let's try to fix whatever is broken. Right now, there is something that's broken. Of course, our residents understand or may not understand, lack thereof, the knowledge. I wish we can have this every commission meeting or boards. I wish all everyone that was here can join boards. We wouldn't have all these openings, and be more informed residents. It's not about fire. It's about, let's work to figure out how to fix this. The culture is off. The culture in our city is off. And so I don't want to say, because it started to happen where I started to say, Mr. Manager, I don't want this person, this person, this person, and this person on my agenda briefing, because of the rolling of the eyes, the looks, the attitudes that we feel. You don't see it. And it had to come from somewhere. So all I'm saying is, if there's a shooting in the city, you can't be the person to always take the mantle and have the mountain of shoulders on your back. You have to figure out how to bring people in that are going to help you and assist to take some of this things that people are asking you. You're going to have to release it, because that's leadership. And if they can't, you're going to have to rethink that whole process, because what everybody should know. And if I can't reach you, I should be able to reach others, and I can't. I can't, because we've heard it. Oh, I don't know. We've had a meeting. I don't know. I don't know. That's not cool. So I'm just saying we gotta, like that. And I'm not beating up, please no. I'm not That's not my goal. But what I'm saying is, I just have to say this from my heart. Let's create a vision together. Let's fix this. This communication is, fix the communication. You should be able to communicate with us as well as you have assistants. But if they can't communicate with us because you're holding the mantle and you're the only one that you got to be able to let some of the stuff go so that we're aware and we know what's going on. Thank you.
Anything else for the manager? Manager's report? All right. Moving on to our official board reports. I don't see any chairs here. Future agenda items. Do you have any future agenda items? Madam Attorney, Commissioner Kelly, your item for the Civil Service Board, that was already proffered prior to, right?
Pardon me?
The Civil Service Board that you're gonna work on, that was already proffered prior to?
I had already worked to put it into legislation form, but it requires some components of HR. So I'm going to, I was going to just say it, but I guess you didn't see me. I want to put that back on for a future agenda item. Yeah, I want to put it back on. Shouldn't take long to get it going.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, I had a quick question. It was brought up before about policies and procedures. I know we voted and we passed something. Does that need to come back?
I think we, okay,
Does
let's deal with the civil service. now.
Oh, okay.
All right, so, the legislation is that Commissioner Kelly will create a civil service what do you? Not policy.
Well, it was, say it again?
No, she got policy in my head, but what's the legislation?
Mr. Mayor, it's an amendment to the current civil service ordinance. So it would be an amendment. That's what Commissioner Kelly would be bringing forward, and it would need a second at this point.
Okay, Commissioner Kelly, is that what you're?
Yeah, I'm going to bring back the legislation.
All right. Okay, do we need to vote on that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I'll second that motion. And then, for Commissioner Kelly to create a, civil service legislation, let's say it that way. Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Williams,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Irvin,
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly,
Yes.
Mayor Taylor.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0.
Okay, and I think Commissioner Williams, you had something on policies and procedures. Go ahead.
Yes, I was asking, I don't know if that would be the manager. Okay,
Yes, that's coming back.
okay.
Mhm.
Soon, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
All right, and the future agenda item that I want to create, everybody already talked about it. I want to create a crime communication legislation that spells out how crime is communicated throughout, information is disseminated to the commission as well as the public.
Say it again, Mr. Mayor?
A crime communications legislation. I want to ensure that the commission is getting updates on the crime that's happening in the city of Opa-locka. I understand.
I'll second it for us to talk about it. Yeah, I'll second for us to talk about it.
All right, so that is my future agenda item, or one off. All right, Madam Clerk?
Vice Mayor Irvin,
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly,
Yes.
Commissioner Williams,
Yes.
Mayor Taylor.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-0.
All right, and the last one is, I want us to invest in, Mr. Manager, a two-way text system that gets information from City Hall to our residents. Facebook, Instagram, emails are not always doing it, but everybody has a phone and everybody reads text messages. So like when we had the flood, Opa-locka was a flood zone, but the residents did not know. So I want to ensure that we're getting that information to our residents. Commissioner Kelly?
Well, just to add to to future agenda item,
Yes, sir. Future agenda.
if I can ask, well then, what is code red used for?
Code Red is very limited in its utilization. So we've tried to deploy Code Red in certain instances, and we were told that they have to be approved messages, and the messages have to be pertaining to an immediate danger. So we can say, hey,
So we don't
yeah, so we are exploring other two-way text systems that we've had presentations for that we can bring to the commission for considerations or put out an RFP that are more aligned with what the mayor is saying.
Okay, I guess the question I have, Mr. Mayor, and again, we can put on, and I guess you can digest, but to your point of what you're saying, get information out to our residents. I guess you want to expand beyond emergencies to just general information?
General information. So if there's a flood in place, we send that information out. If there's the book bag giveaway, we send that information out. So not only are you getting it on email, you're getting it on Facebook, but you're also getting it directly to your phone.
But I thought that's what we hired the media
It's not
folks
that
for.
expensive. Say it again?
I thought that's what we hired the new media firm for. I thought that's part of their responsibility.
But it's an expense that the city would have to go forward with. But I don't think that's in their contract.
No,
I saw,
and the challenge too, why we would still need some type of system is the enrollment process. So that's been the hampering. That old system, when we look at active telephone numbers, I think there was only 91 in there. So it really wasn't a very effective means. We need to get something modern. We need to get something updated where residents can easily enroll, put their number in, and start immediately getting information.
Okay, I have a problem with the item, and I want to proffer one more before you finish.
yes, sir.
All right, so I'll second that.
All right. Madam Clerk?
Vice Mayor Irvin,
Yes.
Commissioner Kelly,
Yes.
Commissioner Williams,
Yes.
Mayor Taylor,
Yes.
motion passes 4-0.
And Commissioner Kelly?
Yes, I had one, and maybe when we get into discussion, we might wind up combining them or seeing how we can. I wanted to have an item to have the manager look into Comcast Channel 77, getting it back functioning. I know it's still there, but it's not been put back in action. I'd heard that was what been worked on, but I hadn't seen anything, so I said I would just put it back in legislation form. Because I do know a lot of our older seniors, especially, they have Comcast, even though you have all this other technology. And since it's there, why not utilize it? So I wanted to do that as an item because I still hadn't heard it coming back. So that was the other item.
All right. Can I get a second on that motion?
Second.
Second. Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Kelly,
Yes.
Commissioner Williams,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Irvin,
Yes.
Mayor Taylor,
Yes.
motion passes 4-0.
All right. Any other?
Mr. Mayor, I do want to provide the commission with some feedback. Staff, along with the new PR firm, we have been diligently working on that. It was called Opa TV. We've gotten a significant amount of pushback from cable with theirs requiring us to jump through several additional hoops. So we are actively working on that. We'll continue to work on that, but it may come at a significant cost when we provide the presentation to you because they're requiring certain amount of equipment. Now, the next stage that we're looking at is with the help of the Mockins team is finding if there are some facilities that we can utilize to rent or I guess use the term piggyback off so that we can get the green light from Comcast to restart Opa TV. So we're happy to work on that legislation. Just
Great.
want to provide you with that update.
We don't have it. I thought we had it, but it was just, we wasn't using it. When did we lose it?
So I'll let Assistant City Manager Ms. Lawson, since she's had the direct communications with that on the specifics or the statements of the dates and timelines. Ms. Lawson.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. It's my understanding that Channel 77 stopped working when Mr. Rodriguez was our IT director, and it was due to some equipment that we need. So our current IT director is in communication along with Ms. Mockins with Comcast on how we can try to get that restarted and what equipment is needed. So that's where we are now.
Mr. Mayor.
Commissioner Gary.
That's why I brought it up, because when I met with Ms. Mopkins, she mentioned, because I mentioned to her about that, and she also mentioned about the idea of finding some space for a studio or something as an alternative. But I want the commission to be on the forefront. I'm quite sure costs will be involved. I don't know why it'd be significant, but an upgrade considering all this technology we've been spending money on. But that's why I brought it up, whether it's that route or the one that she mentioned when I talked to her about studio space to get it out, whatever. We need to take advantage, because even now, as one of my colleagues said, communication is still very challenging. But I know some folks do have 77, which would still be beneficial. So I guess hopefully by the time this comes back up, talk about or whatever, maybe you'll have some more clear information and timelines or economics or what it might be. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. All right, moving on right along to our mayor and commission reports.
Mr. Mayor,
Commissioner Kelly?
I'll start first because you always start on that end.
She said, I
Oh,
always
she read
start
today?
on-
Oh, no, they say you've got to start. Go ahead. Ladies first.
Go ahead, Vice Mayor.
Okay. I wanted to say, I was at last meeting, I wasn't here because I was in Chicago, educating myself. And I did just tonight give the manager some paperwork on there's allegedly $3.1 trillion out there in grants for infrastructure. And once I heard that, I knew I had to get all that information to bring it home so that we can research and see what we have going on in that manner. Tonight was probably one of the hardest things that I've ever done, because I know I felt like I let my Park family down by being here and not out there with them. It's hard to live across the street from a park and don't become family with the people that are working at the park every day. My heart is heavy. I watch these people work 12, 16 hours a day nonstop, and especially during football season. Those of you that have been around the parks program, we sit in Opa-locka and we hear about all the other parks that get a chance to, the football players, what the whole park leaks. Oh, the football players paid everybody, they sponsored, no registration. Every park, we hear it. Miami Gardens, they doing it here, they're doing it over here. But nobody comes to Opa-locka to say, we gonna sponsor everybody this year in football. We gonna sponsor when we get on our legs, we may get some people to come and say they'll sponsor a child. But to have the Dolphins at our exposure never happens. Heck, it takes an act of Congress to try to get football tickets for our children to go and see a free game at the Dolphins. I was unsuccessful last year, and I knew that I felt like I was going to be successful. It didn't work. It didn't work out. Our babies had the opportunity to go and meet Jalen Ramsey on Saturday. I got the text message, bring all the Opa-locka kids. And I struggle with that. Bring all the Opa-locka kids. They gonna get a chance to meet Jalen Ramsey. I went, but I went alone. And I'm here to tell you, I cried all the way back to Opa-locka, because we started this program from dirt after it was demolished. We started it from dirt. Those people won't let me bring their kids over there. No. based upon what's happening. So I know we all have egos, and some of our egos are bigger than others. But I believe in being fair. And just like I fought for the manager, I'm going to fight for these children because I enjoy sitting on my front porch and hearing all that noise across the street. Sometimes I open the sliding glass door in my family room just to hear the noise, just to hear the noise. These babies need somewhere to go. And I feel in my heart that sometimes when you hear something, and Lord knows my husband will tell you, I am a detective. I just missed my calling. When you hear stuff, before I bring it to you, I have all the information I need. I finished my investigation. But I can't fire you and then do an investigation. It doesn't work like that. I can put you on leave while I'm doing an investigation. I've learned more about HR in the last 10 days than ever. I've been self-employed for the last 32, 33 years. But there's a protocol to everything that you do in Opa-locka. Let me say what I will not see happen while I sit behind this desk. Opa-locka 10 or 15 years ago, it's not coming back to Opa-locka. 10 or 15 years ago, people got fired for absolutely no reason. And guess what? They were fired. Nothing they can do but get an attorney. And what wound up happening later? Opa-locka gets sued. And what happened? The employee wins their cases. We just, there's no Opa-locka way of doing things. We have to go by the books. But I'm sorry, I guess we got to get the books straight first. We cannot have nothing in place. Education, I taught my children, education is something no man can take away from you. But if you don't educate me and I do something wrong, the penalty should be different. Because if you sit here and you tell me, don't spit on that sidewalk, I know if I spit on that sidewalk, that there's going to be some repercussions that I have to deal with. So I'm not going to spit on the sidewalk. But I will not see Opa-locka. I take pride in telling people. We were in the meeting and the man, when we went down on the League of City had a Black event, and we went, and the man from down south started trying to talk about the city of Opa-locka. Oh no, you're not gonna do that. Oh, that's the old Opa-locka. We're new Opa-locka. It's a new day in Opa-locka. I love telling people this. It's a new day in Opa-locka. But is it really? I'm questioning myself now. Is it really? I will not sit here and see Opa-locka go back to the old slimy ways it used to have. I will not do it. I will not do it. And I don't plan on giving up my seat. So something else has to happen. I'm not giving up my seat. I have 2 more years to sit here. Employees running scared. Parks may have some issues, but I'm here to tell you, I'm in these streets. I'm in these streets. And I know that we got departments way worse off than the Parks and Recreation. When I go to see business owners and they're almost in tears by the way they're being railroaded by us, no. I got 2 more years. I will not sit here and let Opa-locka become the dirt of Opa-locka. I'm not going to do that. But I did, the good thing that came out of me going to see the situation with Jalen Ramsey is I pulled him aside and I said, sir, my city is going through a difficult thing right now. If possible, would you come to our park and see our kids? And he said yes. But my time limit is short because they're getting ready to start on camp. But he told me to get with who to get with, and he will make it his business to try to get out here and see our kids, because I know that will brighten our kids' day, because nobody think about the kids here in Opa-locka. It's like pulling teeth. And now we've taken away their mentors, most of them mentors, product of the products. I too had Miss Clinton, Granny, the little white dog on this side of town. It makes a difference. It makes a difference. But I could tell you what, if we don't get it. Okay, thank you so much for listening to me. I'll say this. Oh, I do have to mention this. When I ran for office, my slogan said, standing up for what's right. And I feel that way today. I felt that way then. I'm not changing it. I'm going to always stand up for what's right. Always. I do want to say thank you to Mayor Carver. She came out to our 4th of July celebration and got a chance to take pictures with our children. They were excited. You know, you look different on TV than you look in person. So some people was like, who is she? And I was like, that's the mayor, you know. Oh, that don't look like the lady. But she was happy to be out here to see us as well. And we had a nice time. Fireworks were phenomenal. Thank you so much. Ooh,
Commissioner,
I'm sorry, Madam Attorney, I need to get with you because I need to sit down and talk with you about some things. So if we can get with the clerk's office or me, however, so we can make appointments, so I can sit down with you the next time you're in the city. Okay? Thank you.
Commissioner Williams?
I did want to say, we had a great time, to everyone that, worked on 4th of July event. It was great. And, yeah, Jalen's coming for you next time. He can get in the water. But anyway, so he couldn't get in the water this time, but it's okay. But nonetheless, but it was awesome. I was a little, the fireworks were like on point. Like I mean, I got nervous. I was like, oh man, these fireworks are big time. So I did want to thank Mayor Kava for coming. I had the opportunity when I was mayor to sit down with her and had a really great one-on-one meeting with her. And I love the fact that she remembers that. And when I walked out of her office, she had a bowl of, it's very girl powery, you know, had a bowl of inspirational rocks and asked me to just choose one. And it said inspire, and it still sits on my desk. And so I think every day that's what we should be doing, is trying to inspire as many people as we can. And I love the fact that when we meet, I always remind her about that rock that still sits on my desk. I want to congratulate all the students that we awarded our scholarships to. And I want to personally thank Miss Walker for making it happen. Thank you, Miss Walker. Yeah, give it up, give it a clap. The process was very seamless, and I know, you know, after I was a little nervous, and you pulled it off. And I'm not saying that because one of the kids went to, but I'm saying, no, I'm not. I'm not.
Exactly why you
I'm not. I promise you. But I will say that it's interesting. We really just don't know, and I wish there was a way. We don't know how many kids in Opa-locka that have these type of stories, that are doing a phenomenal job. And sometimes I just want us to figure out how to unlock that, so we know and can highlight and just let them know that, listen, you live in Opa-locka, and we have a lot going on here, and we want you to be a part of parks and all the activities that we do. So yeah, I wanted to say congratulations to them. And I think that's it. Thank you.
Commissioner Kelly?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Again, I'll just start off with that as well. 4th of July was awesome. I left, came back. When I got back, the vice mayor had no voice. I certainly want to commend those employees from Parks who had been there all day. And I understand some of them came back to help out, considering it was short staff. So I want to commend them for that and all of the employees that had to work. Of course, we have Farm Share last Wednesday, which we have at the Pavilion at Historic City Hall. And I want to thank the manager's office, the clerk's office, all those who work hard for it. But I want to give a shout out, and I think, Mr. Manager, you could have Mr. King to come out for a second. I know he's in there. I forgot to do this last month, and I want to do it because I forgot to the mayor and commission last month, not this month, last month, I was teasing one of his employees that he actually bagged 1,000 pounds of potatoes. So make sure you tell him I mention it. And I say that because they work hard in helping us out. And he was the only one down that end. And he was steady bagging. By the time he got down, that bag was low. And they were teasing about 1,000 pounds. So make sure you tell them tomorrow. I did mention, I told him I was going to mention it. The work that they do in helping us out and also benefit to the community. Of course, my co-hosts, Vice Mayor Irvin and the mayor, and I know the support of my colleagues, even though they're working. Farm Share really, and the Vice Mayor saw this because she had to help out a little bit. A lot of our residents are coming out to get the food. And I attribute that not only to more knowing, but the signage that is out there. People see the sign and they recognize that it's going to be there. And so we have one sign over for Siegel Park, which is the third Friday with our Feeding South Florida distribution. And we're hoping to get one more. So more of our residents can benefit from that. I also want to say that, of course, on next Friday, it is Feeding South Florida at Siegel Park. We're also going to have the Florida Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles. I try to have them out every so often. You can go to the website or the QR code to scan it, to schedule your appointments. We only have so many slots that we do from 9 to 1 p.m. We're always excited. I know it's football season coming up and IDs for the kids and things. So take advantage of it being in our city and get those slots done. I also want to, again, commend the 4th of July celebration and the work that you put in to it, Vice Mayor, and all of us that were out there. And you said Mayor Carver was there. Really want to appreciate the fact she took the time to come out to the city of Opa-locka. That was really good. I also want to acknowledge, and I know Ms. Watkins is not here, and the new the event coordinator that was out there on Wednesday did an awesome job being out there and keeping us abreast of what was happening right up to the fireworks, the timing. And so, I'll give credit where it's due. I really appreciate that. And I did see, I think, as a part of the new way of getting feedback, I saw the survey on Facebook, and we got to get out more ways, but I did see it asking for feedback on how the event was, anything that could make it better, whatever. And I look forward to getting those kinds of results back so our citizens can enlighten us on what we're doing, that we think we're doing good, and maybe we're missing the mark on some things. I don't know, is bingo this Friday? Bingo is this Friday. I didn't nobody mention it unless the mayor was going to.
I was going, but go ahead.
No,
Go ahead. You already did.
No, that's okay. The mayor's going to talk about something happening this Friday. My last thing is to invite the community out next Saturday, July the 20th for Fun Day at Ingram Park, co-hosting that with the mayor, and also the fishing tournament component from 11 a.m. to 1 fishing tournament. We originally had scheduled for Father's Day, but of course the weather was bad. We're going to have the fishing tournament and Fun Day at Ingram Park next Saturday. The picnic, music, food, I'll let the mayor elaborate on that part, from 1 to 5. But the fishing part, of course, is going to be from 11
AM to 1. So bring your rod, bring your pole. We'll provide debate. We won't put it on the hook for you, but come out. Yeah, I said that just for you, Vice Mayor. But come out for a day of fun in the community at Ingham Park on that date. That concludes my report, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, no problem. Mr. Manager, do we have an update on the financial oversight and the Glorieta apartment?
Yes, Glorieta Apartments are still going through the abatement process. We have supported the HUD and the HUD contractor with providing them facilities to meet with the residents so that they can do their applications and go through that process, which gives them the options to utilize a voucher to either remain in their location if it's a renovated locations, which some of them are, and some of them are choosing to remain, or providing with some additional assistance to find housing elsewhere if they so choose. The 10 North Group is moving forward with doing a transition, should have executed by July 1st. They did provide a presentation to be presented to the commission, but I received it at 3:30 today, so I haven't had a chance to review it, and I'd like to review it before submitting it to the commission as part of my report, and I shall do that as I just received it today. So I'm not sure what the contents are, but it was an update on where they are with that transition. As you know, there was a previous ownership entity there that was the lead entity, and there was a secondary ownership entity. The secondary ownership entity kicked out the lead ownership entity, stood in the place as the lead entity, and is now transitioning some of those services over to the 10 North Group. So that's kind of where they are in that process. As for the state financial oversight, we are still on track to meet we're ahead of track to meet our deadlines. We are actually also offering bonuses now in our advertising for accountants to try to ramp up sign-on bonuses. To try to ramp up hiring. We're about to start a new hiring blitz to beef up our finance department, but we still remain ahead of schedule with the submission of our audits. That concludes my report, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, when you say ahead of schedule, because I thought you pushed the needle back to December.
Yes, that's well.
How's that ahead of schedule?
I'd always. I can provide the director of finance to give up any specifics on that, but the deadline was always December, as negotiated with the financial oversight team and board. And we do have that in writing as a submission to them and an agreement by them. And we've had bi-monthly meetings where we are established and give them that we are on track, and they are in agreement with that. I believe, and I say this cautiously, I can call up the director of finance to describe exactly how far ahead we are, if that would assist, Mr. Mayor.
Not necessary, but you know my concern with the financial oversight. The audits are due in March, so if we don't submit it until December, I mean, we're going to be late for the next one. And also the agreement that you just spoke to, can you provide that to the commission?
Sure.
You have it in writing.
I copy the commission when I inform them of our due date. Yes, sir, and we will.
No, I thought
forward
you
that.
said they gave you an agreement.
They confirm receipt.
Okay. And the Glorieta Gardens, the presentation that was given to us by 10 North, why can't it just come directly to the commission? Why we
Well, sir, generally speaking, I would never just forward anything over to you, present it as part of my report before I had a chance to review it and read it. But I certainly have no problem. So long as you know that I haven't reviewed it, I certainly have no problem.
Now, I just remember last meeting, I asked you for an update in writing on both of these items, and it never came. A report on that specific meeting that you just addressed, and
Yes.
also the financial oversight, and we're 2 weeks later and it never came. So that's why I was asking.
Understood, sir.
All right. Next is, well, Commissioner Kelly already said it. We have bingo this Friday at 6 p.m. at Shabundi Village. And Vice Mayor says it's gonna be a hurricane bingo. Whatever that means. Oh, you're
You
getting
win
batteries
things that you could use in the
in
hurricane,
the hurricane.
during a hurricane.
Got it.
Did you get some blue batteries from FPNF?
All right.
You
Also,
could get, no, I couldn't. He
also,
packed up and took those back out the door.
also, we're having a 5K run on July 27th that's a Saturday at 7 a.m. starting here at City Hall. Also, the clerk has asked me to announce on behalf of, on behalf of Commissioner Baz, that we're doing a community cleanup on August 10th at 11 a.m. And you'll see the flyer on Facebook, so just put that on your calendar. And also, I wanted to announce, this happened last week, Friday. I don't know, a lot of you all should remember her, but Miss Ozzie Ritchie passed away. She was the founder of our Rotary Club, and we want to keep the Ritchie family in our prayers. She also was a teacher, yeah.
She was a teacher at my alma mater, Opa-locka Elementary.
Yeah, she was. And the funeral is, I believe, Tuesday, next week, Tuesday. So we just want to make sure that we're keeping her family in prayer. Okay, with that being said, if nothing else, do we have any board appointments?
No, Mr. Mayor, we don't.
No, you don't say that. 1 second. Do we have any board appointments?
I actually, we have an at-large, for that, board, and I talked to her and she would like to do it. For the civil service, not civil service, I'm sorry, for the charter review board.
The charter review board is not gonna be meeting.
Yeah.
Because we couldn't seem to get a clerk for that board. And that brings me to this, Mr. Manager. We've had 3 boards on this that we've been asking for a clerk for, and it has yet to happen. The charter review, the local financial oversight, as well as, the civil service board. Well, 2. And it's always, we're getting somebody, and it never takes place. And since we don't have a clerk for the charter review board, we are seemingly going to miss our deadline to put any referendums from the city on the agenda, on the ballot come August as well as this November. And this has been passed, I think, since late last year, early this year. And it's always, so.
Well, we keep taking it, whatever it is.
But we have to figure out a way, Mr. Manager, to have clerks for the boards. We have boards for a reason. They need to meet. These boards, we don't just vote on it just so it can look good on paper. They need to meet. And the local financial oversight board, we talked about that in Tallahassee, and we had 2 years ago, and we still have not done it. Yeah?
Oh, I believe that the financial board was assigned a clerk.
They have yet to meet. They have not had one meeting since we came back from Tallahassee.
Okay.
All right. And Commissioner Williams brought it up, and I'm gonna thank her for bringing it up. But we gotta stop with the disrespect towards the dais. We have to stop. When one of my colleagues were talking, you got loud and boisterous. When I was talking, you got slick. It's too much. And the rolling of the eyes, it's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. And you wouldn't take, and I'm gonna say it this way, if it was the other way around, you would have a problem with it. I'm not a sensitive person. I got thick skin. I could take it. But when it's done the way it's done, like Commissioner Williams said, it's a trickle-down effect. And your employees, some of them do disrespect us. They do. They honestly do. But the respect starts from the leader. We put you in place as the leader of this city Because we have jobs, we have careers, we can't run it day to day. That's your job. But when we ask you a question, I've asked for information a month ago that I emailed to you in a meeting, and I still haven't gotten it. And there's legislation that we passed at this board and put timelines to that has yet to be enacted upon. It has to stop. It really, really has to stop. And I'm like Commissioner Williams, we have to change the culture of this city. And I'm gonna go and say this, and I think everybody needs to learn, the commission sets the vision and tone of the city. The manager's job is to ensure that that vision goes the way, that's to see the vision through. The clerk's job is to keep the vision organized, and the attorney's job is to keep the vision legal. But we gotta work in tandem. But when everybody is in everybody else's spot, then it becomes a problem. So I'm asking you to maybe we need to do an about face and change the way we're doing business today. The way we're doing business, we got to change. So the personalities, the attitude, it has to change. And I don't care about personality. I got thick skin, but it has to stop. It really, really has to stop. So I thank Commissioner Williams. I guess she was looking at my paper because I was going to say everything she said, but it has to stop. So if there's nothing else to be said,
I just wanted to ask a quick question. Madam Clerk, if you can let me know on the Planning and Zoning Board, I would like to know who's my appointment, if you can get that back with me, because I've been here like 4 years now and I've not appointed anyone, but I don't understand who is taking, like, who's in my seat, like, who's the person, because that board is really just, I need to fix something with my appointment at least.
Mr. Mayor?
I'm sorry?
who said that?
Yes, the Madam Clerk.
I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, whenever
I thought you were
Commissioner
on
Williams
vacation.
finish.
What the? Oh, hello, madam.
Well, welcome.
So the planning and zoning, board appointments are at large, Commissioner Williams.
How long do they have on that board?
So they have staggered terms, some are 2, some are 4, so, yeah.
So
I can get you a list of the members. I know at the last meeting, they did the last appointment, which was, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Nikesha Williams to that board. That was the last at-large appointment, but I can get you a list of the members along with their terms, so that you can have a reference.
Perfect. Thank you so much, madam.
Okay, you're welcome.
I thought the clerk was on vacation.
And Mr. Mayor, to Commissioner Williams, years ago, it was appointments by the commission individually, and it ran with their terms, but then it got changed because you wanted to have folks with expertise in planning and zoning and expertise in this. So it became at-large appointments. And I think now some of them really don't even have to live in the city to be on the board. And that's part of where you get your headaches from, just to put it out there, because I've seen the transformation of a lot of the decisions that are made, but folks don't really know the dynamics necessarily all the time of the city. But yeah, it's at-large appointments. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, so can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
And we out before 12, y'all. Second, this meeting, it was moved by Commissioner Williams, second by Vice Mayor. This meeting is adjourned.
Oh, my goodness.